shall we? Week 7, huh? Week 7. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirikoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Over the course of the next 2 hours, we're going to be answering all fantasy football-related questions for Week 7 of the 2023 fantasy football season. Again, it's starter sit questions. There's a lot of information that is made public now with all the injury reports that are out. There's also, other information regarding weather that is to be determined going into Sunday. There's also, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. We're not 100% certain as to whether or not they're going to participate in Monday's game. We did get more information earlier today that obviously does indicate one way or the other where they're going. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, trending in the right direction, did participate in a practice earlier today, mainly because they play on Monday. Their final practice of the week is always on Saturday. Therefore, it's looking like there's a lot of potential there. Either way, I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a solid. Click the like button down below. It certainly helps the channel a bunch, to say the very least. So if you guys could do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also, over the course of today's episode, besides answering questions, I'll also be going over to Underdog Fantasy, drafting some teams, and of course, putting together some pick'em slips. So if you guys haven't checked them out already, and you guys want my rankings for tomorrow morning and every subsequent Sunday morning for the remainder of the season, be sure to go ahead, use code Andrew, and make that first time deposit minimum of $10. Again, there's a link down in the description for those of you who are interested. And of course, as per usual, the eligibility as to where you're located is determined by the map on the bottom left of the screen. Of course, draft responsibly. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get to answering questions. Hope you guys are doing well. This is the first live stream of the week. We didn't have a live stream on Thursday, but we're back and we're ready to go. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's fantasy teams are surviving. My fantasy teams are crumbling very quickly. Of course, Kyren Williams earlier this morning was put on the injured reserve. I'm sure many of you are wondering, Andrew, what are we doing with the Rams running back situation? Okay, so currently they have Zach Evans, who was technically the RB3, but mostly playing in a situation. Let me actually check. I'm actually curious off the top of my head now. Does Zach Evans play any special teams? Like, was he even active for the purpose of special teams in any sort of regard? Or is he just primarily... Yeah, he does play special teams, or at least he played 8 snaps of special teams last week. Otherwise, offensively, he doesn't play that many snaps. He played more snaps of special teams than he did offense last week. Either way. So you have Zach Evans. Then you have Royce Freeman, who's a practice squad running back. And then we're in a situation where they just recently signed a former Rams running back, Darrell Henderson, and then they just recently signed Myles Gaskin. The primary reason they signed Myles Gaskin, of all the remaining running backs that's available, has to do with his familiarity with the scheme and the offense. Of course, he was most notably within Mike McDaniel's offense with the Miami Dolphins last season. So very similar-esque of a scheme to Kyle Shanahan, to Sean McVay. They're in a very similar coaching tree. On top of it, was also with Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings for a quick stint earlier this offseason. He obviously got cut there, so he's familiar. This is the information that I've collected. Going into this week, it should be Royce Freeman as the starting running back that is getting the majority of reps. Then henceforth, until we see Kyren Williams return, it's going to be Darrell Henderson. So that is what we are going for. It's a Royce Freeman for this week, and it's a Darrell Henderson for the next 3 weeks after that, until the bye week, and then Kyren Williams returns after that with potentially maybe Ronnie Rivers. But that is what we know. Now, the reason why we believe it is Royce Freeman is because, they haven't said anything, and quite frankly, it could come out that, Myles Gaskin's the starting running back, or Zach Evans is, or it's a complete rotation. We don't know 100% certain. But the only thing that I've been given in terms of an indication is one of the beat writers for the Los Angeles Rams that is actively at their practices, always at every press conference. She specifically said that in warmups, the lead back of the offense was Royce Freeman consistently. He was the lead back that was running every warmup. He was going before all the other running backs. Now, typically, I would venture to say, okay, that could be something. That could also not be something, but I'll venture to say that it's more information than anything else that we've been given in regards to the situation. Okay? Either way, in regards to whether we're starting these running backs, we're probably not touching any of the Rams running backs, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, let's start answering questions, shall we? Well, welcome, everyone. Let's get into this. We had Kiwi send in a question. Thank you very much, Kiwi. I appreciate it. Again, guys, if you're going to send in a question via Super Chat or even type it in the chat, do me a favor and let me know what your scoring format is. Standard, half PPR, full PPR, point per first down, 6 points per touchdown, all that kind of jazz. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right, QB has the following question. QB says, Half PPR, must win. I need to pick. I need you to pick 3. Okay. An RB and 2 flex options. We have Jahmyr Gibbs, we have Jerome Ford, we have Foreman, we have Watson, we have Amari Cooper, and we have Deontay Johnson. Thanks. From New Zealand. Thank you, QB. I appreciate it. Okay, so QB, the singular running back that is starting as a starting running back to your team is Jerome Ford. The flex option is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs alongside of Amari Cooper, under the assumption that even if it's PJ Walker, I'd still play Amari Cooper there. So yeah, I'd go Ford, Gibbs, and Amari Cooper. Half PPR. Thank you, QB. Much love. Let's see here. We had a question from, I see Michael Barton's question in the chat. Says start 1 of 3. Okay. Sorry. Start 1, 3 sit. PPR, Raheem Mostert, Josh Jacobs, Pacheco, Brian Robinson. I mean, if you're starting 1 and you're sitting 3 out of those, I mean, you have to start Raheem Mostert. You just have to, based on his productivity. And you sit the rest. Second question, pick 1, Logan Thomas or Michael Mayer. As of this week, I'd probably still play Logan Thomas there, despite the disappointing performance we got from week 6. And then your third question was Foreman or Zach Evans. I mean, at that point, I just play Foreman. I don't really want to mess with Zach Evans in a rotation if he's not going to be the primary guy. And again, we won't know until Sunday for sure if he's the primary guy. We had a question sent in via Super Chat from Zamir. Thank you, Zamir. Appreciate it. Says, start Darrell Henderson, Elijah Mitchell, or Zach Moss. I'll play Zach Moss out of the bunch. Yeah, I'm confident with that one. Thank you. Ibrahim Yusuf says half PPR, Palmer or Foreman. Yeah, I'll take Palmer there in a half PPR. I think Palmer in a shootout against Kansas City, pretty safe in comparison to Foreman, who could end up not scoring a touchdown. And if, again, he goes for another consecutive week without scoring a touchdown, could be very underwhelming to say the very least. Also, is Hendo for the Rams a good pickup going forward? Yes, he's a good pickup. He would be the guy that we want rest of the way until we see the return of Kyren Williams. Thank you for your question, Ibrahim. We had a question that came in from John S. Where's John S.'s question? It says, hey, man, I need a wide receiver 2 in a flex. This week, options are Addison, Christian Watson, and Josh Palmer. And Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so in a full PPR scoring format, of those available options, Christian Watson's the first and foremost that I'd probably go with. And then second option, I'd probably go Jordan Addison there. Thank you, John S. Appreciate it. We had a question that came in from RR. He said, full PPR, Lockett or Hollywood Brown? Spears, rest of season outlook? Okay, well, look, there's obviously a lot of rumors regarding Derrick Henry, him potentially being moved prior to the trade deadline. The trade deadline is in 10 days. October 31st, Halloween Day, is the overall, trade deadline. So we're going to hope that maybe there's some movement. Maybe Derrick Henry gets moved to the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe Derrick Henry becomes a member of, I don't know. We'll see. But at the moment, you should probably keep Spears just in case. If there is a movement of Derrick Henry, you have the starting running back of a offense. In a lot of scenarios, Tyjae Spears could be of great value going forward. So yeah, you definitely want to have him on roster there, RR. As for your question, Lockett or Hollywood Brown, I want to probably play Lockett there. I think JSN probably gets himself a lot of utilization this week. It's probably safer to play Hollywood. Just off of volume of targets, volume of opportunity. I can't guarantee that Tyler Lockett's going to get as much of an opportunity share, but I know that the matchup is far better for him individually in comparison to Marquise Hollywood Brown, who will probably be double covered for majority of that game. Conventional wisdom, I'll probably just lean in the direction of Lockett still, but Hollywood Brown, 10 targets in each, 4 of the last 5 games. That's hard to pass up on, but yeah, I'll take Lockett. I think he has just slightly a bit more upside there. Thank you. Tommy Vu with a question. Thank you, Tommy. He says, full PPR, choose one. Flex Zach Evans, Javonte Williams, or A.J. Dillon if Aaron Jones doesn't play. If Aaron Jones doesn't play, I will play A.J. Dillon out of the bunch there. I do expect Aaron Jones to play. As to what capacity, we're 100% not sure. By the time we get to tomorrow morning's live stream, again, that'll be starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it'll go until 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm sure we'll get a little bit more clarity on the situation as to what kind of utilization we'll see out of Aaron Jones, whether he'll be at a full capacity, limited, etc. But as of right now, assuming Aaron Jones plays, Javonte Williams is the guy that I would roll with out of the 3 there. Tommy, thank you. Let's see here. Dino in the chat was asking Jerome Ford or Jonathan Taylor. I'll play Jerome Ford there this week. Again, they get Joel Bitonio back. They take on the Indianapolis Colts, the best run-stopping defensive lineman outside of DeForest Buckner from that defensive line has been suspended for PEDs. So there is a lot of movement on that defensive line. And we also had DeForest Buckner. He didn't even practice on Friday, so he popped up on the injury report. So if two of their interior defensive linemen are out against the Cleveland Browns run attack, it should be a pretty easy day for Jerome Ford, and assuming Kareem Hunt, if he's healthy, to go ahead and rack up some yards there, and of course some fantasy points along with it. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Jerome Ford. He's moved up a considerable amount in my rankings, to the extent to where he's probably near the top 12. I think he's at number 13. I'd have to go and check as to what I was updating last night. Thank you. L. Washington says, which RB would you start? If I'm starting one of them, I would probably end up starting Royce Freeman this week. Didi says, need a win this week, 2-4, 0.25 PPR with a bonus of 100 plus yards. Do I start Osborne in the flex, or do I pick up Laporta, Kittle, Pitts? Please save me. If I'm playing one of those options this week, I'd probably end up playing Laporta out of the bunch. I'll play Laporta over Osborne. I'll play him over Kittle. I'll play him over Pitts. So yeah, that's my suggestion there, Didi. Thank you. Also, Rams or Raiders defense. Let me go ahead and see who I have ranked higher. Let me go open up my Excel sheet here for Week 7 rankings. Let's scroll over. So we have the Rams as the number 8 ranked defense and the Raiders as my number 4 ranked defense going into the week. So I'll take the Raiders there between the two, Didi. Thank you. Lucius sends in a question. Thank you, Lucius. Says, start Gabriel Davis or Rashee Rice. My opponent has Kamara. Yeah, I'd probably still play Gabriel Davis there. You want the upside of that touchdown. And if you can get it, Gabriel Davis, half PPR, full PPR, probably scores himself somewhere between 12 to 16 points. So that's primarily what I'm looking for. I want that touchdown upside. If Rashee Rice even scores a touchdown, he can maybe score himself 12 points, 11 points. I mean, that's kind of what he's done. In the 2 games in which he scored a touchdown this season, he's still barely scoring over 10 fantasy points. So I'll go with Gabe Davis there. I'm confident within that offense taking on the New England Patriots and how much success they found against that defense primarily in the last couple seasons here. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Just do me a favor, guys. If you're going to... Okay, so let me... I got to change something in the settings because people are spamming questions. So what's going to happen if you spam too much, the auto moderator will just time you out. So just be very careful. And the timeouts are relatively long. Okay. So I'm going to put on a slow mode now. Just do yourself a favor and do not spam your question back to back to back. Because if you do, the auto mod or even myself, I'll snipe you. It makes no difference to me. So Max, be careful, man. All right, we had a question that came in from Josh. Josh, thank you. I appreciate it very much. It says, in a 12-team full PPR league, I have Stroud, Waddle, I have Nico Collins, Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, Kelsey. How do you have all these players in a 12-team league? Mostert, trade Mostert or Kamara for Allen. Upgrade my quarterback or upgrade wide receiver by trading Mostert or Kamara for Chase or Cup. Yeah, let's do that. I'm down trading for Chase or Cup in those scenarios. I'm fine moving Mostert. I'm fine moving Kamara. Either of the two. I'd probably end up moving Mostert before I move Kamara, primarily because, again, HN will eventually return. But, yeah, I'm cool with... I mean, at this point, looking at your team, I don't think you need Josh Allen. You could make the move for him. The rest of your team is going to carry you every single week. But, yeah, for now, I don't mind moving like Mostert for Cup or Chase rest of the season. Thank you. Let's see here. Raymond Brown in the chat was asking Jonathan Taylor or Alexander Madison in a full PPR. I'd probably end up rolling with Jonathan Taylor there in a full PPR scoring format, under the assumption that he's going to catch as many passes as he did last week. Manuel was asking in the chat, do you think Aaron Jones is worth starting this week or holding him until next for the rest of the season? I think it just depends. As of right now, he had limited practices for the entirety of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the assumption is that he is trending towards playing. He wouldn't be limited if they were going to hold him out. But we have seen in different circumstances, especially earlier this season against the Raiders, even though he was limited throughout practices, they did hold him out because they had a bye week following. They are coming off the bye. I would assume that he'd be relatively healthy, but can't 100% justify starting him at the moment outside of I think I have him ranked just right outside the top 12 or 13. Just because I'm a little sketched out about the earlier week signing of James Robinson. Why would you sign James Robinson? And why would Aaron Jones still be limited at practice unless he was still dealing with that hamstring and there was a potential in which he wasn't going to play and James Robinson would be activated as the RB2 behind a guy like A.J. Dillon. So, again, we'll keep that monitored by tomorrow. But for right now, I'd say have an alternative option, available. All right. Like the Jeans sends in a question, says Michael Wilson or Kendrick Bourne. I'll probably end up just playing Kendrick Bourne there. I think Michael Wilson has shown flashes of consistency at times, but again, it's not a and so is Kendrick Bourne, to be honest. But neither of these two options are dependable enough for me to say, confidently, hey, this guy's absolutely going to score a high volume of points this week. If I was going to trust one over the other, it's the factor of Michael Wilson probably going up against a tougher matchup. Kendrick Bourne without Tre'Davious White in that secondary, that's the threat of that secondary isn't as impactful. So I'd probably go with Bourne there. Thank you. All right. Bill sends in a question. Says standard drop Ertz for Komet. Drop Ertz or Komet for Michael Mayer rest of the season. Yeah, I'm willing to drop. Primarily, I'm okay with either of them. We'll have to wait and see how Cole Kmet looks without Justin Fields. I know that they're not placing Justin Fields on the injured reserve, so that's relatively promising for his potential return. But I'm willing to drop Zach Ertz there. The reason so is because if you guys go look at the snap counts of last week, Zach Ertz was outsnapped and outplayed by Trey McBride. It looks like that they're slowly transitioning to the former second round pick from a couple years ago. They're probably going to get more utilization out of Trey McBride and potentially could be looking to trade Zach Ertz prior to the trade deadline here in the coming days here. Appreciate it. Harris sends in a question, says full PPR, Addison, McLaurin, Brian Robinson. In a full PPR scoring format, I probably end up playing Terry McLaurin out of the bunch. Thank you. Sal Palumbo says half PPR. Would you trade Tyler Lockett and Rachaad White for Sanders and Higgins? Damn, that's a really good question. Here's the issue. I don't know if Sanders is healthy, but even if Sanders isn't healthy, I probably still make the deal, considering I don't think that Rachaad White is going to be of much value for the remainder of the season. The strength of schedule is putrid. The check down passing, to Rachaad White isn't as frequent as we would have liked it to be. Obviously, going from Brady to Mayfield is a huge difference, but it still isn't as consistent as we would have liked. And I do prefer Higgins over Lockett in terms of a healthy Higgins in comparison going forward. So yeah, I don't mind that. It's a risk, but I'm willing to take it. Let's see here. Zen sends the question. XEN Zen says full PPR, pick one. Deontay Johnson, Curtis Samuel, TJ Hawkinson, or Rashee Rice. If I'm playing one out of the bunch, I'd probably end up just playing TJ Hawkinson. Thank you. Let's see here. Hector says, should I play Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp together? Or should I bench Puka Nacua for Brandon Ayuk? Yeah, I would do that. I'm willing to bench him for Brandon Ayuk there. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, trying to catch up. Where are we at here? So after Hector's question, again, thank you, Hector, we have Infinity and Bijan, my favorite name. Says, currently in a 14-team full PPR, I have Fields, Stroud, Geno Smith, Kyron Williams, Connor, Achane, Ingram, Latavius Murray, Stephon Diggs, Sun God, Osborne, Goddard. Okay. What moves do I make in a three? I'm currently 3-3. So you have Fields and Stroud. Okay. So at this point, you don't really have to move on quarterback. So you're fine in a 14-team league in that regard. I don't know why you have Geno as well. Having three quarterbacks, I don't know if it's relatively necessary. But I guess for this week you do because you need. Okay, so for this week you do because you need Geno, and then after that you can keep Stroud, you can drop Geno, and then you can hold Fields on your bench until he returns. Kyron is probably on your IR, Connor's on your IR, Achane's on your IR. So you probably want to move one of the three and maybe even two of the three if you can, because until then, if you're 3-3 currently and you're starting Latavius Murray every single week and your second running back isn't even named, or it is Keontae Ingram, you're probably going to lose the next 3 or 4 games here. So with that taken into account, if I'm you, I'm trading away probably all three of them. I'm trading away Kyron, Connor, and Achane. I'm finding teams that can afford it, and I'm making the move to try to get any sort of semblance of running back depth in return. And if you're able to do so, I mean, I would like to go after guys like Mixon and Aaron Jones who are not playing as well as they can and are capable of. And maybe people are a little bit lower on them in terms of their potential value. Maybe even James Cook, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerome Ford. These are players that maybe people aren't as excited about. And maybe you could end up selling off a player here just to kind of keep your team alive for the remainder of the season, considering how many injuries you're certainly dealing with. Thank you. Let's see here. Arda says, standard league start one. Hunt, Hendo, Evans, Ingram, or Warren. If I'm starting one running back out of this group, Kareem Hunt, Darrell Henderson, Zach Evans, Keontae Ingram or Jalen Warren in a standard scoring format, I'd probably end up playing Jalen Warren out of the bunch. It's either Warren or Kareem Hunt. I don't even know if Kareem Hunt is going to be active tomorrow. There is a potential in which he's not. If he is, let's see here. Limited practice, thigh injury. I'm going to assume that he is. If in fact he does get the activation tomorrow, I would play him over the bunch. Otherwise, in a standard scoring format, the next best option is probably Jalen Warren there. Thank you. All right, I appreciate it. Cinco2X says full PPR, start 2. We have Zay Flowers, we have Christian Watson, Joshua Palmer. Yeah, I'll take Christian Watson and Zay Flowers there this week in a full PPR Cinco. As for your second question, Madison, White, Elijah Mitchell, or one of the Rams running backs. If I'm playing a full PPR, one of those, yeah, I'd probably end up just rolling with Madison and White. Elijah Mitchell, we don't know if he's going to be an impactful enough play. I'm sure he's going to get a decent volume of opportunity on Monday, but Christian McCaffrey is likely to be active. So considering that is the case, I'd probably just end up playing the two guys that are starting running backs on your team, which are Madison and White. Now, if in fact you get to Monday and Christian McCaffrey is inactive, I would end up swapping in Elijah Mitchell for Alexander Madison because he does play on Monday as well. So for sure, Rashad White and Alexander Madison, and then the potential pivot if in fact McCaffrey is out on Monday. Thank you. Let's see here. Jacob Cohem says, hey Andrew, I need some advice on who I should pick up, Darrell Henderson or Jordan Mason. I need to start one of them after I had Kyron Williams go down. I cannot tell you objectively that either are even going to get any touches this week, to be honest, because from what we've heard from Kyle Shanahan, it seems like Elijah Mitchell is gaining favor in that backfield. So I'm looking at Mason and thinking even if Elijah Mitchell plays, sure, Mason could be a value, but you won't know until Monday so it's probably pick up and play Darrell Henderson. That's probably the play going forward because I honestly think Darrell Henderson has more rest of season value and is probably the fill-in for Kyron Williams in the coming weeks. So it's probably in your best interest to just roster him and see what we can get out of him in comparison. Danny Navarro in the chat was asking, start the Raiders defense or Lions this week, Andrew? I would play the Raiders this week. I have them both ranked in my top 15, but yeah, as of right now, I'd roll with the Raiders defense. All right, let's see here. I saw someone in the chat said Baldur's Gate sucks. That is the worst comment of the year. That's the worst comment of the year. SF or Cleveland Brown defense? Yeah, I like San Francisco's defense rest of season PPR. I'd have to look at their schedules, but for right now, I'd probably just lean towards playing San Francisco's defense rest of season. Tony says Brian Robinson Jr. or James Cook full PPR. If I'm playing one of the two, I'd rather play Brian Robinson Jr. against the New York Giants run stop defense. Thank you. Joe Lozano says full PPR. Deontay Johnson, Jaleel McLaughlin, or Deontay Foreman. In a full PPR, I'd probably go with Deontay there. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Have we caught up? Almost. After Joe Lozano, thank you again, Joe. We have Tony. Tony, thank you very much. Says Deontay Johnson, Joshua Palmer, or Chris Godwin this week. If I'm playing one of the three, it's probably Chris Godwin. Thank you. Eagles defense or Lions defense this week? I'd rather play the Lions defense. I don't want to play the Eagles defense against the Miami Dolphins, who are averaging over 30 points per game as an offense. So I'll lean away from that, especially with all the injuries in that secondary. Reed Blankenship and Bradley Roby, they're both already out this week, so it definitely does hurt their potential chances. Okay, let's see. I'm almost caught up on all these super chat questions. Once I've caught up there, I'll get into answering questions in the chat. Thank you very much for your patience, guys. Let's see here. So we had a question that came in from Cameron. Cameron says, trade Derrick Henry and Devontae Adams for Bijan, Waddle, Devonta Smith. Trade Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams for Bijan, Waddle, and Devonta Smith. Yeah, let's do that. I'm fine with that. I'll take the Bijan side. That does not bother me. My running backs are Ford, Foreman, Kyron Williams. Wide receivers are Olave, Flowers. Yeah, I'm okay with that trade. I don't mind it at all. Thank you. The Real Franklin says, standard, pick one flex. Watson, Amari Cooper, or Lockett. If I'm playing one of these in a standard scoring format, I'm probably end up either playing Watson or Amari Cooper. I'll probably just go with Amari Cooper based on the Indianapolis Colts matchup just being far more favorable at the moment. Thank you. Corey Olson with a question. Thank you, Corey. Says, Keontae Ingram a good stash? I wouldn't objectively say that's the case. I mean, Keontae Ingram is only as valuable as his receiving upside is. And quite frankly, I just don't know if he's going to get enough receiving upside in the coming weeks to keep him of value. I would venture to say that Keontae Ingram is an unstartable fantasy prospect in the next 3 games. Just looking at the overall schedule of the Arizona Cardinals, I'm gonna hope that they keep Kyler out for the next 3 games, primarily because this week they take on the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks are pretty good in terms of stopping the run, in terms of yards per carry average allowed. Then they play against the Baltimore Ravens, another really good defense, and then they have to take on the Cleveland Browns, the best defense in the league. So I would hope that, again, by the time we get to Atlanta, November 12th, by that point, James Conner should be back. So I would probably end up saying that if Keontae Ingram is not a great stash, if you're desperate, sure, everything is a decent play when you're desperate. But at this point, I wouldn't say objectively, Corey, that he's a great stash. Arda sends up a follow-up question, says, love to support. Drop Hendo or Evans then. I have Kyren Williams. Do you have to drop one? Because honestly, if I was you, I'd probably hold them both until Monday and see what happens. Brett in the chat was asking Jeff Wilson Jr. or Zach Evans this week. I'd rather play Jeff Wilson. But yeah, if you could keep both of them Arda on roster, I would try to keep Evans and Hendo just to make sure that my prediction is to come true. Just in case, because you never know. Zach Evans might come out tomorrow and run the ball 25 times for 400 yards, and we have a new starting running back of the Rams. But until then, I want to assume that Hendo is the guy for the remainder of the season until the return of course, someone like Kyren Williams or Ronnie Rivers, whoever does end up returning first. I'm going to assume that it is Kyren Williams that returns first, but we never know. Hood sends in a question, says, can you check my question, please? All right, Hood, where's your question in the chat? Let's see here. Hood says, hey, dude, Deontay Johnson, JSN, or Rashee Rice in the flex? Also, who would you rather play in a full PPR, Logan Thomas or Michael Mayer? I'd probably end up playing Logan Thomas there. As for the question regarding JSN, Rashee Rice, or Deontay Johnson, out of the 3, I'm more confident playing Deontay Johnson, even though I like all 3 of them as a play this week. Deontay Johnson's the one that I trust the most because, quite frankly, he's the best wide receiver of the bunch at the moment. And the thing is, like, Rashee Rice, he's always going to be secondary to the running game and secondary to Travis Kelce. Of course, well, so he's the third option of that offense. Additionally, when we talk about like JSN, he's the third option after, or maybe even fourth option after Lockett, DK, Kenneth Walker. Deontay Johnson, honestly, returning this week could be the number 1 option of that offense, depending on that, how the game script goes. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead and scroll back down. I'm almost caught up on some of these super chats. Do appreciate you guys supporting in this regard. Let's see here. We had a couple more questions. Pimp sends in a question, says, full PPR, Josh Downs or Gus Edwards in the flex? I'll take Josh Downs in a full PPR. Thank you. Brian Robinson Jr. or Gibbs in a full PPR, says Brian. If I'm playing one of the 2 in a full PPR scoring format, I probably still end up playing Brian Robinson there. Thank you. Let's see here. We have Cody Holm says, I am in bye week hell. Should I start Kendrick Bourne or Rachaad White in my flex? Also, David Njoku or Logan Thomas at my tight end. If I'm starting one of the... Okay, so let's see here. David Njoku or Logan Thomas? I'd only ever play David Njoku if, in fact, 100% Deshaun Watson's active. We won't know until tomorrow morning. So Logan Thomas is like kind of the... leave him there until otherwise noted. Between Kendrick Bourne and Rachaad White, I'd probably end up playing Rachaad White. Assuming it's a half PPR or standard format. If it's a full PPR, I'd go with Kendrick Bourne. Thank you. Let's see here. Pukamon says, full PPR. I have Deebo Samuel currently in the flex. Have Madison, Mayer, Downs, and Henderson. Best upside play in case Deebo doesn't play. Yeah, the best upside play would be Alexander Madison. So leave him in the flex, and then on Monday, if he doesn't go, you play Madison in his stead. Thank you. We had Drew Soul sends in a question. Drew says, keep 2, Darren Waller, Cole Kmet, Michael Mayer. If I'm keeping 2 out of the 3, I would probably end up keeping Darren Waller and Michael Mayer as of right now. Thank you. Thank you, Golden Armor. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. All right, let's see here. We're almost caught up. We actually are caught up. Bruce is the final question here via Super Chats. Which would you start in a full PPR, Deontay Foreman or Zach Evans? I'd play Deontay Foreman. Again, Zach Evans, there is no guarantee that he's going to be the starter. My main assumption as to why they went ahead and they signed guys like Darrell Henderson and Myles Gaskin is because they know as a rookie 6th round pick, he is not equipped with all of the skills to be a 3-down back within this offense. He's not equipped enough to be a pass blocking back. He's honestly not probably equipped enough to be a starting running back that is going to get 15 plus touches. And again, at their current record, 3-3, the Rams are in a position to where they have a chance of approaching the playoffs and maybe even making a run there. Probably not, but playoffs is good enough. At the moment, yeah, I'd rather play Foreman. Thank you. Let's see here. Devin sends in a question, says half PPR, pick 2. Dobbs, Warren, McLaughlin, or Foreman. If I'm picking 2.5 PPR scoring format, it's Dobbs and Foreman. In a full PPR, I would probably go Dobbs and Warren. Thank you. All right, let's answer some questions here in the live chat. I do appreciate you guys being patient. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button. We've been here for about 30 minutes. I'll be continuing to answer questions for the next hour and 30 minutes. Do not forget, tomorrow morning, starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll also be live on the channel, so keep that in mind. I'll be live for 3 hours. We'll have up-to-date rankings on screen like we do every single Sunday morning. Just a little bit different as we'll be having a 3-hour live stream rather than the 4-hour live streams that we've had in the last couple weeks due to the Sunday London games. Okay, Kyle Pitts or Luke Musgrave? I'll take Kyle Pitts there. Deontay Foreman, Rashad White in a half PPR. I'll take Deontay Foreman there. FRS says full PPR. Should I flex Amari Cooper, Josh Palmer, or Darren Waller? Out of those 3, it's Amari Cooper. Let's see here. And for running back, McLaughlin, Wilson, or Ingram. Assuming it's Jeff Wilson Jr., I'd probably end up rolling with him out of the bunch. And then McLaughlin 2nd and Ingram 3rd. Let's see here. Harlan says full PPR, choose 3. Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman Jr., or Watson, Myers, Osborne. Out of those options as a wide receiver, if I'm choosing 3 of these guys, it's probably going to end up being I'd probably end up playing Deontay Johnson, Watson, and Myers there. Thank you. Nate Ruiz in the chat was asking full PPR flex 1. Start Rashee Rice, Cortland Sutton, Deontay Johnson, or Jaylen Warren. In a full PPR, I'd probably just end up playing Cortland Sutton there once. Yeah, I probably end up just playing Cortland Sutton there out of the group. Let's see here. Rolando in the chat says Javonte Williams or Ramondre Stevenson. I'll take Ramondre there. I don't mind that. I think Javonte Williams probably... Well, actually, no. Yeah, Ramondre is fine. I prefer Ramondre at the moment. The issue that I have with Javonte is because, primarily, they don't... with Jaleel McLaughlin being more efficient than him in the receiving game and even at times being more efficient than him on the ground, that's probably going to be a little bit of a 2-headed monster, 3-headed monster going forward. In comparison to Ramondre, who I know for a fact, if he's healthy and on the field, they objectively, prefer him ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. The only reason Zeke scored a touchdown last week primarily has to do with the fact that Ramondre was in the blue tent getting a concussion evaluation during the game when they were down in the goal line. Tim in the chat was asking Zach Moss, Kareem Hunt, Gus the Bus Edwards. If I'm playing one of those 3, I'd play Zach Moss. Billy says full PPR. I had Kamara and Kirk on Thursday. Congratulations. Pick 2, Rice, Ford, or Lockett. If I'm picking 2 out of those 3, it'd be Jerome Ford and Tyler Lockett for sure. I also have Mahomes and Amari Cooper playing. Yeah, you're good to go there, Billy. Well done. Do you trust in Darrell Henderson this week? No, I don't. I don't trust any of the running backs for the Rams. If it's me, you'll see by tomorrow morning. They're all going to be ranked in like my rankings 30 through 36. Like, I'm not going to trust any of these guys. How can I objectively trust the most secretive offense in the National Football League? Like, they went ahead and they went through the entire offseason without any of us knowing that Kyren Williams was going to be the starting running back over Cam Akers. Imagine that. That's how secretive they are. So we just don't know what the deal is going to be at all. So if you play Zach Evans, Royce Freeman, Darrell Henderson, Myles Gaskin, just expect to be disappointed. That's all I'm going to say. Expect to be disappointed because truly, until we get an indication as to how we're going to break down this backfield, what kind of utilization we'll see from these different backs, who's going to be utilized as the third down back, who's going to be utilized as the goal line back, who's going to be in that 1st and 10 situation, second and long, all that kind of jazz, short yardage situations, until we get an indication as to how they want to break it down, considering the last, 6 weeks of the season has been all Kyren Williams all the time, it's tough to trust anybody. Let's see here. Someone said thoughts on Michael Mayer. Go check out my Hidden Gems video from yesterday. You'll get a little bit of my thoughts there. Thank you. Non-PPR, Osborne, Rashi Rice, or Kendrick Bourne. If I'm playing one of the three in a non-PPR, it's probably Rashi Rice out of the three. Thank you. Let's see. We had a couple super chats that were sent in recently. So we got to Bruce's question. We got to Devin. Take Flight Mike says, let's see here. Where's Take Flight? Hey, Andrew. Any trade suggestions or tips? I'm in an 18 league. I'm 30-3 currently. I have Josh Allen. I have Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Rachaad White. My wide receivers are Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Ridley, DJ Moore, and Addison. My tight end is Waller. Okay, so in terms of rest of season running back, right? Breece Hall and David Montgomery are fantastic to have. They're both top 12 options remainder of the season. The fact that you have Gibbs as the handcuff, per se, of Montgomery certainly does help you in this scenario. I think Ramondre is a solid, RB3 in this situation for a full PPR scoring format. Gibbs and Rachaad White, again, they're just like depth plays for future weeks. They're not really players that are going to get themselves much utilization, but you can't trade away Gibbs considering you have Montgomery. And I guess Rachaad White can be a usable piece in an upcoming trade, but it's going to be tough until he has himself a consistent performance to be able to ship him off, because I don't think anybody really wants to trade for a running back who's barely scoring 8 points or even less. Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Ridley, DJ Moore, Addison. I don't think I need to really move any of those guys. And Waller, as long as this offense continues to trend in the direction of throwing him the ball, he should be fine. The issue that I have with Darren Waller primarily as a tight end isn't his skill, isn't the quarterback play per se. It's primarily the offensive play calling and the fact that this offensive line is battered. Their entire starting offensive line is out. Like, I'm not even joking. Let me go pull up the injury report. I was looking at it last night, putting this together. Injury report. Okay, so Evan Neal did not practice on Friday. That's their starting right tackle. Matt Pert, which is one of their backup tackles, out. Michael Schmitz, which is their starting center, is out. Andrew Thomas, starting left tackle, out. The backup left tackle from last week, he's out. Shane Lemieux, who is one of their starting guards, injured reserve recently. I think they may have one starting offensive lineman from last week returning. Like, it's a mess. So what's going to often happen is Darren Waller is going to have to chip block for majority of that game, which obviously does not bode well for his potential upside for fantasy purposes because he's not running as many routes, which obviously is a concern. But outside of that, I don't really have any problems with your team. If you want to make a trade, you certainly can. I just don't think it's necessary per se for your situation. You got a solid quarterback, solid running back, solid wide receivers, and hopefully a better tight end as the weeks progress and this offensive line some way gets healthier, if in fact it ever does. Bruce Cowdrey says the following. Bruce, what is your question? Bruce. So that was Bruce's first question, and then he sent in another super chat, but there wasn't anything attached to it. But yeah, your first question, Foreman or Evans? Yeah, we'll certainly take Foreman there. Let's see here. And then after Bruce, we have Bacon's question. Let me go ahead and catch that. Bacon says, hello, I got Zay and Rashi Rice starting wide receivers. So Zay Flowers and Rashi Rice. Okay. Hawkinson and Laporta as my tight end and flex. Okay. Sounds good. I got offered Mike Evans for Laporta. Should I take it? Yeah, I would. I'd be happy doing so. I'd be happy with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. Thank you. Good question, Bacon. All right, let's see here. What do we have? Rex says week 7. Let me go ahead. Let's do something real quick. All right, where's Rex's question? Rex says week 7, 10-team full PPR. For my tight end 1 and wide receiver 2, should I combo Kyle Pitts and Christian Watson or Luke Musgrave and Drake London? You know what's funny? As much as I do prefer Christian Watson, there's a chance that Kyle Pitts could disappear. Like, between Christian Watson and Drake London, I know Drake London's coming off a great week. I do trust Christian Watson just slightly ahead of him. But between Musgrave and Kyle Pitts, I can't objectively say that Kyle Pitts is going to easily outscore him, because I think both these guys could end up coming away with like 1 fantasy point, and we're not going to really be surprised. For right now, if I'm picking between the two, I'd probably just roll with the Pitts-Watson side of that conversation. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, Hunt or Evans this week? I'm assuming that's Zach Evans, right, Blake? I'd rather play Kareem Hunt there. Paul sent in a super chat. Thank you, Paul. Says, hey, Andrew, I'm currently 6-0. In one of my leagues, I'm trying not to mess this up. In the flex this week, full PPR, my options would be Alexander Madison, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Zach Evans or JSN. If I'm playing one in a full PPR scoring format, I probably end up playing Wan'Dale Robinson under the assumption that it's going to be, I probably end up playing Wan'Dale Robinson out of that group. Thank you. Let's see here. Trev in the chat was asking full PPR bench one. Ford, Jones, Watson, Myers. Ford, Jones, Watson, Myers. Yeah, considering there's no Jimmy Garoppolo, I would probably end up benching Jacoby Myers out of that bunch. Thank you. Unless Aaron Jones is going to be limited tomorrow, I guess that would be the only alternative. But yeah, for right now, it would be Myers. Javier in the chat was asking Amari Cooper or Watson, Adams, bench one. I would bench Watson out of the group. I'm starting Adams and Amari Cooper. Constantino says, what's up, Andrew? Full PPR, if no Christian McCaffrey, play Ford or Mitchell or Deontay Foreman. Well, considering we won't know if Christian McCaffrey's active till Monday, I think you're in a position where you either play Christian McCaffrey or Christian McCaffrey or Mitchell. So hold on to them both. Go into Monday's game. If in fact Christian McCaffrey is not active, you play Mitchell. If he is active, you play Christian McCaffrey. You have the handcuff to be able to make a play like that. Thank you. All right. Bruce in another question says, last question, full PPR, RB2 Foreman or Warren? In a full PPR, I'd rather play Warren. Yeah, Warren's catching the ball like 3, 4, 5, 6 times a game. In that position, it's just a little too advantageous to play him in comparison to guys like Foreman, who absolutely needs a touchdown to be relevant. Let's see here. Jojo says, would you drop Roshan or JSN for Jeff Wilson? I have Mostert. Would I drop either of them for Jeff Wilson Jr.? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. I'd be okay dropping Roshan Johnson for him, but the issue is like you're gonna pick up Jeff Wilson Jr. and eventually in about 2-3 weeks here, Achan's gonna return, and when he does, it's gonna be in a situation where Jeff Wilson Jr. probably doesn't get much utilization anymore, and you will regret not having Roshan Johnson on roster for the remainder of that year. So I probably just keep it as is. Full PPR rest of the season, Tony Pollard, Alvin Kamara, or Bijan Robinson. Sorry, Tony Pollard for Alvin Kamara or Bijan Robinson. In a full PPR, I mean, Kamara, what does he have? 35 receptions in 4 games. It's kind of hard not to. He's been a top 12 running back every single week of the season, half PPR and full PPR that he's been active. So it's kind of hard not to lean in that direction after what we saw on Thursday and the check down king himself being, I mean, Derek Carr, absolutely ridiculous. Let's see here. Full PPR, pick one, Keontae Ingram, Josh Reynolds, Jamison Williams, Tutu Atwell. If I'm picking one of the 4 as a full PPR play, I'd probably end up playing Josh Reynolds there. David Morgan says, I'm 1-5 full PPR. I traded JJ and Najee Harris for Mixon and Lockett. Good trade. Considering your record, yes. Forgot to mention, this is Joe Lozano says, I forgot to mention my RB gets 1.5 points per 10 yards. Oh, goodness. Full PPR. I need to flex between Deontay Johnson, McLaughlin, Deontay Foreman. So you get 1.5 yards per 10 yards. So under the assumption that, let me pull out the calculator. Let's say he gets 70 yards. So 1.5 times 7. 10 fantasy points just off yardage alone. In a full PPR scoring format, if he still doesn't score a touchdown, it's kind of a mess there. Yeah, in a full PPR, Joe, I'd probably still end up playing Deontay out of the group. If it was a half PPR, I'd be more excited about playing Foreman there if it was a half PPR. But for right now, I'd probably end up playing Deontay Johnson still. Thank you. Let's see here. Kevin in the chat was saying, start 2, Curtis Samuel, Kendrick Bourne, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Downs. Curtis Samuel, number 1, and probably Kendrick Bourne, number 2 out of the group. Thank you, Kevin. JRR Tokens says, half PPR Bourne, JSN, McLaughlin, or Jeudy. If I'm playing 1.5 PPR scoring format, it's probably going to be JSN. Thank you. Rashee Rice or Jacoby Myers this week? Oh man, dude, I don't know if I can trust a quarterback that's not Jimmy Garoppolo with Jacoby Myers. I'm going to hope that that's the case, and maybe Jacoby Myers could still be of some semblance of value this week, and I'm going to suggest him, but it is tough. I can't objectively say one way or the other that he'll outscore Rashee Rice. I think it's relatively close in that position, considering there's no Jimmy G this week. So for right now, I'd say I'm okay playing Rashee Rice, but if it's my team, I'd probably end up playing Jerry Jeudy. I'm sorry, not Jerry Jeudy. Jacoby Myers, sorry. I was looking at Jerry Jeudy in the chat. Corey Olson says, if you don't need a running back, would you take a stash waiver of Warren, Dillon, Hunt? Sorry. If you don't need a running back, would you take a stash off waivers of Warren, Dillon, Hunt, Henderson, or Najee Harris? So if I'm picking up one off of the waivers under the assumption that you're just stashing them in your team, I'd probably end up picking Najee Harris there. But otherwise, it's Henderson. For sure, it's Henderson. Unless we get more information regarding Aaron Jones being injured, it's Henderson there. Let's see here. Daniel Jones considered a long shot. That's expected. Okay, that helps the case of Wan'Dale Robinson for sure. For sure. Tucker Smith in the chat was saying full PPR, Samuel or Bourne. I'll play Samuel. I think Samuel's a pretty confident play as of the last couple weeks here. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Superfish. Superfish, thank you. Says non-PPR start 2. Pacheco, Swift, Bijan Robinson. Thoughts on Bijan's usage? Yeah, I don't love the usage. If I was the Atlanta Falcons GM, I would legitimately trade away Tyler Algier tomorrow. I would go ahead and I'd send him towards any other team that needs a running back. There are a good amount of teams that actually do need a solid running back in the league right now. I'd send him towards Baltimore, and I'd just say, hey, have fun with him. He's a bruiser back. He's probably better than Gus Edwards and Justice Hill right now. But yeah, I don't love the usage of Bijan Robinson. I love his receiving utilization. I just hate the lack of rushing attempts that he gets on a consistent basis. That being said, in a standard non-PPR format, if I'm playing 2 of the 3, I'm playing Swift for sure tomorrow. Lane Johnson's going to be active, and they're probably going to run through that defense for majority of the game. So besides Swift, is it Bijan Robinson or is it Pacheco? In a standard scoring format, it probably is ending up being Pacheco there, which is pretty crazy, but yeah, it's probably the case. Let's see here. Full PPR, Aaron Jones, JSN, Brian Robinson Jr., or wait and play Christian McCaffrey on Monday. Great question, Noah. I'd probably end up just playing Brian Robinson. If you don't have a backup to Christian McCaffrey, you don't have Elijah Mitchell, or you don't have Jordan Mason, I don't think you can afford to wait and risk it per se, because then at that point you don't have an additional option unless you have like an Alexander Madison or someone else. So for right now, I just end up playing Brian Robinson there. Okay, let's see here. What else we have? Jake in the chat was asking full PPR, start Lockett or Myers. Yeah, I'll take Lockett there. Yeah. And DK likely out. No, DK's not going to be likely out. He's going to play. Don't worry about it. He'll be fine. Dan Sek in the chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. Dan says, start Howell or Purdy this week. Burrow's on by. Thank you. I'd end up probably playing Purdy. I think Howell's got himself a consistent volume of production. I think Purdy is just safer overall. Thank you. Let's see here. Jordan Mason or Justice Hill? Neither. Literally neither. Please. There's got to be somebody else, right, Drew? There's got to be Drew Sorensen. There's got to be someone else. There has to be. Those can't be your only options. Please. Those are the worst options you could have possibly asked for. Unless Christian McCaffrey misses, you can't play Jordan Mason. And Justice Hill is just not playable because they play against the Detroit Lions defense. Rashad White or Curtis Samuel? I like Curtis Samuel there. Gabe Davis or JSN in a full PPR? I'm fine with running with Gabe Davis there again. Constantino says, breaking news, Christian McCaffrey spotted practicing today. That's not breaking news, man. That was like 3 or 4 hours ago. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it could be breaking news to some of you, but yeah, it's nothing new. Flex, Zay Flowers, Deontay Foreman, standard scoring. Diego, I'd probably end up just playing Flowers there. Nathan Gutierrez sends in a super chat. Thank you, Nathan. Let me see what you have here. Nathan says, yo, Angie, just made a trade. Kelsey Lockett for Cup Devontae Adams. Is that a good trade? Absolutely a fantastic trade. You just fleeced this guy. What the heck? Wide receivers are Puka Nacua, Kirk, and Deontay Johnson. My running backs are Henry, Montgomery, Swift, Harris. Thoughts? Yeah, that's a fantastic trade. Cup and Devontae Adams, and you're only sending away Lockett and Kelsey. You fleeced them. Well done. Well done, Nathan. Well done. I mean, that's ridiculous. We had a question that also came in from Gerald Alvarado. Thank you, Gerald. Appreciate it. Hello. Thoughts on Deshaun Watson this week? Thanks. I had a video yesterday. It's called Hidden Gems. I had my primary thoughts regarding Deshaun Watson there. We know that PJ Walker earlier this morning was elevated to the active roster. Now, that could be for one of 2 reasons. One would be Deshaun Watson's not playing tomorrow, and they elevated him off the practice squad because the expectation is that PJ Walker is going to be the starter, or the alternative reason is DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson. He, as the second string quarterback, he is probably going to be relegated to being the third string quarterback soon. And Deshaun Watson is going to start, but they wanted to go ahead and elevate PJ Walker in case of an emergency in which Deshaun Watson re-aggravates an injury in that shoulder. And then we have to go ahead and play PJ Walker for the remainder of that game. So I'm hoping he's going to play tomorrow. We'll know by tomorrow morning for sure, though. Let's see here. Let me scroll down a little bit. Constantino says new to me. Yeah, no problem. Goddard or Musgrave full PPR. Blue Sports. I'd end up playing Goddard there for sure. Ronald says half PPR, have to sit one. Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Marquise Hollywood Brown, or Zay Flowers. I'd probably end up sitting Marquise Hollywood Brown out of the bunch. Thanks. All right. Rest of season tight end rankings. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you them off the top of my head. How about it's Kelsey and then it's everyone else? That's my rest of season rankings. Let's see here. PPR, we got Christian Watson, Javonte Williams, or Brian Robinson Jr. full PPR. If I'm playing one out of the three, I think I probably end up saying that Brian Robinson Jr. is the safest bunch. Yeah, I think he's the safest of the bunch, especially against the Giants defense. I think Brian Robinson's the play there. All right, let's see here. Dalnas 2006 says half PPR. Trade Mostert, Puka Nacua, and Christian Kirk for Tony Pollard and Waddle. I have Diggs and Ayuk as my other wide receivers. I think you're probably giving away too much. Honestly, like if you were giving away like Mostert and Puka for Pollard and Waddle, sure. But the fact that you're giving away Christian Kirk on top of it, I'm not as sold. It's tough. Especially if the running game of the Dallas Cowboys doesn't turn around anytime soon. Could be in a really sketchy spot there for Pollard. That boy OD says I'm 1-5. Do I trade Lamb on a bye week for Devonta Smith or Najee Harris? My running backs are Barkley, K9. So Najee Harris is a stash. I need points as wide receiver badly this week. Yeah, let's do it. I'm fine with it. Look, you're 1-5. How many weeks are left? What do we have? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You have 8 weeks left. I mean, technically, you could still end up winning out and being fine with Barkley returning. So it is a desperation move, and it's purely based on just 1 week of production. It's not like hey, Lamb is going to Devon Smith's going to outscore Lamb. I don't think that's going to be the case. So as a panic move, I can understand it. I'm okay with it. But as for a long-term move, I don't know if if you end up 1-6, technically, and again, you're probably further from making the playoffs, especially if you're in your league where it's like 4 teams out of 10 or 6 teams out of 12 make the playoffs. I don't mind you making the play here just to try to, scrape out one victory. I just don't know if it's going to be I would probably venture to say that it's probably not going to be a big difference maker as to how your season goes. I think that one victory, even if you do get it, I mean, again, you're hoping you get it. What if you still lose? I think that ends up hurting you in the long run more. So I'd probably just keep Lamb there. Billy says, did I make the right decision starting the Bucs over the Jags defense this week? I had Kamara. Yeah, I mean, look, no one really expected there to be a pick 6 out of that game. So that pick 6 certainly made a huge difference. But I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely are the right play this week. Henderson or Jaleel McLaughlin, full PPR. Slade, I'd end up playing Jaleel McLaughlin. Thank you. Let's see here. Full PPR, pick 2, CMC, Terry McLaurin, Zach Evans. Yeah, it's CMC and Terry McLaurin for sure. For sure there. Also, Baltimore Ravens defense or Cleveland. I'll take the Cleveland defense this week. Yeah, I'm confident with that. Okay, a couple more super chats that were sent in after OD. We had Shane. Shane, thank you very much. Says Flowers is my wide receiver 5. Trade him for Ford. If you're in desperate need of a running back, I'm okay with that. Yeah, if you're in desperate need of a running back, Cleveland's already been past their bye week. Going forward with Watson will probably get more receiving utilization. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that. Play Chris Godwin or Deontay Johnson in the flex. Jacob, I'd probably suggest going Godwin there. Curtis Samuel, JSN this week. I'd probably end up playing Curtis Samuel there, Chris. Another Chris Longo says Aaron Jones or Mike Evans. Considering Aaron Jones is still in a sketchy position, I'd probably end up playing Mike Evans there. If by tomorrow morning we get an indication by a report from like Jay Glazer of Fox Sports or something of that nature, in which they say Aaron Jones is at a full capacity, I would 1000% play him against Denver, considering Denver cannot stop a nosebleed, much less the run. Let's see here. DJ Moore or Deebo Samuel. Angel, I'd probably end up playing DJ Moore tomorrow, considering if you don't have another alternative option on Monday night, if like let's say for example, I had DJ Moore and Deebo Samuel, but I also have Alexander Madison for my flex, right? I'd be like, okay, we could take the risk and try to play Deebo, but even if he's hurt in playing, Deebo is usually, like I said on my Wednesday wide receiver video, I call him Decoy Samuel. Because usually when he's injured, that's all he is. He's a decoy within the offense, and they don't really like to utilize him much because, again, they don't want to exaggerate that injury more than it already is. Let's see here. Benji in the chat says, asking, do I accept this trade? I have Justin Jefferson and Keenan Allen for Christian McCaffrey and A.J. Brown. Yeah, let's take Christian McCaffrey and A.J. Brown. I mean, 1,000%. 100. Yeah, absolutely. I think Christian McCaffrey rest of the season more valuable than Justin Jefferson. And I believe already objectively, A.J. Brown has more value than Keenan Allen rest of the season. So, yeah, give me them both. Absolutely, Benji. Paul Adams says, hey, bruv, what do you think about this trade? Giving Mostert, Jacobs, Adam Thielen, Jay Williams, getting Christian McCaffrey, Olave London, and Antonio Gibson. Okay, so I'm assuming it's Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jacobs, and Adam Thielen for Christian McCaffrey, Olave London, and Antonio Gibson. So in the long term, it's actually a pretty relatively even trade. So in the long term, when in fact HN returns, probably in week, let me see here. Let me go look up the injury designation for HN. F3 HN. So HN eligible to return in week 11. So until then, Mostert's still going to be a value, but McCaffrey's always going to have more value than him going forward. Jacobs or Olave in a half or full PPR, I'd probably rather have Jacobs. London or Thielen, I'd rather have Thielen. So it's basically just a matter of Christian McCaffrey is more valuable than most of the rest of the season, and would I be willing to take lesser options at these other roles for the move? Yeah, I don't mind it. I'll take the Christian McCaffrey side of that deal. That's fine by me. We had a question that came in from Paul Adam. Okay, so that was Paul's question. Thank you. Appreciate it. We had a question from Robert Mitchell. Robert, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Says, I have Foreman versus the Las Vegas Raiders or Warren versus the LA Rams. Which one, since Breece Hall is on a bye week? Thoughts? Full PPR, I have Bijan Robinson as my one spot. Yeah. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm willing to roll with Jaylen Warren. Primarily because we're not going to see any sort of receiving utilization likely out of Foreman. I mean, he had one reception last week. And the likelihood is, with Travis Homer active this week and Darrington Evans still in that backfield, the receiving usage, the routes ran out of the backfield, is predominantly going to go in the direction of those two other running backs. Specifically, like Warren in a full PPR. Let me just reference this. Let's see here. Full PPR Warren. I mean, as of late, the last 4 games, 12.6, 8.2, 11.5, 10.9. Yeah, it's Warren for now. For sure, Robert. Thank you. Appreciate it. MD the Great says, hey, Andrew, if Jerry Jeudy gets traded before the deadline, where do you see Mims Jr. for the rest of the season? I mean, it depends, right? Like Russell Wilson, throughout his career, typically when you go back to the days of his Seattle days, his deep ball was really good. He was actually, for like the last, I would say, 2019 through 2021, maybe even 2018 through 2021. Russell Wilson was the best deep ball passing quarterback in the National Football League in terms of passing attempts, passing completions, passing yards, passing touchdowns. Obviously predicated on the scheme in which they were running. But he's a really good deep ball, quarterback. The question is, if Jeudy gets traded, how many more extra opportunities does Mims get on the field? Besides the deep ball receiving options, he'll also get everything in the middle, which at that point I would absolutely see him potentially as like a top 48 wide receiver going forward as to, what kind of upside he has. I mean, again, if Judy's not getting any targets, imagine Mims. Mims ain't going to get any targets either unless it's, 40 yards down the field. Jeff Wilson Jr. or Warren in a full PPR. I'll take Warren there as well. All right, we had another question from Nathan Gutierrez. Nathan, we took care of your question earlier. Maybe you have another one. Let me see here. Let's see. Nathan says, RB, I have Henry, Montgomery, Swift, Harris. Should I stay with those running backs or trade for a tight end like Luke? I have Luke from Green Bay, 4-1. Henry, Montgomery, Swift, Harris. I would probably keep these guys. If you're going to trade away any of them, you need to get back a top tier tight end. So unless someone's going to give you Andrews, Kelsey, I don't really want to move any of these guys. I'd be fine moving Harris, but I don't think anybody wants him. So Nathan, I'd probably just keep what you have at this point. Thank you. JJ's Watch Hangout says trade Collins for Puka Nacua PPR. Start Laporta or Judy. I'd rather play Laporta. As for trading Nico Collins for Puka Nacua, man, Nico Collins has played very well this year. Yes, he's been relatively inconsistent. Rest of season, I think they're relatively close in value. I'm okay with either side. And you know what? That one I have to, you know what? I can't actually give you, I don't want to give you the wrong answer either. I don't even know if I have the right answer at this point. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking to myself, I'd probably rather just keep Collins. I think Puka Nacua, yeah, you know what? With the running back situation right now, yeah, let's make the move. I don't care. That's fine by me. I think if Kyron Williams was healthy and the running game of the Rams was going to stay as consistent as it is, I'd probably be in a position where I'm like, yeah, let's keep Nico Collins. He's the number one of his offense, and they're going to continue to pass for majority of the games for the remainder of the year. But considering the injury, the very similar value rest of the season in my mind, I'd probably just lean with Puka, get a little bit of an injection of extra depth or fantasy upside within the next couple weeks here, and then potentially, hopefully, it continues to maintain for the remainder after that. Let's see here. Deebo Samuel will miss at least 2 games with a fractured shoulder. Wow. Fractured shoulder. Okay. Now that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. Pat Fryermuth going to the injured reserve again. Greg Dulcich going to the injured reserve again. Man, these guys can't stay healthy. This tight end position is killed. All right, moving on. We had a question from Devin Ventiv. Says, PPR, 2 quarterbacks, Dynasty, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Russell Wilson versus Bijan Robinson and Baker Mayfield, plus 2 third-round picks. Which side do I... Oh, man. I'm probably not the right person to ask a Dynasty question from. I only play in one Dynasty league, and even then, I don't make that many trades in that league. I'm on a position of, like, I'm going to win the chip, so I'm not really trying to make any, moves unless someone gets injured and I have to in order to ensure that I get the chip this year. Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Russell Wilson for Baker Mayfield and Bijan Robinson. Honestly, the quarterbacks don't even really appeal to me in any sort of capacity. I think it's just a matter of Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs for Bijan Robinson. And quite honestly, I don't even know if I could tell you who the best of the rest of the season. Man, Dynasty format. I'm going to be honest, Devin, I have no clue. I'm not well versed in Dynasty. I'm a redraft guy. So I'd probably go ahead and say, if you're looking to try to win in the future and your team is not built for right now, you take the Bijan side and you take the picks. Thank you. Daniel sends in a question, says, I need 1 running back, 1 flex, Moss, Ford, and Foreman. I'll take Moss and Ford. Lockett, Downs, Deontay Johnson, Addison, Rice. Okay, so those are your alternative options. Okay, so out of the entire group there, Daniel, I'd probably end up playing Ford alongside of Lockett. Yeah, it's Ford and Lockett there for me. Thank you. Appreciate it, Daniel. We had a question that came in from Fabian. Actually, before we even get to Fabian's question, we had one from Maurice Parker. Thank you, Maurice. Thank you. Says, I need help. Full PPR. I'm 5-1, 10-team league. All my backs are on bye. Choose 2: Jeff Wilson Jr., Zach Evans, Mitchell, Dillon, Keontae Ingram, Antonio Gibson, or Algier. Out of the group, I'll play Jeff Wilson Jr. and I'll play A.J. Dillon. Thank you. Lock Screen Gaming says Howell, Eckler, Walker, Adams, Olave, Musgrave, Brian Robinson, Green Bay defense. My bench consists of Gibbs, Cousins, Cook. Any changes? For this week, I'm probably not making... Well, your bench has Gibbs on it. I don't know why you're benching Gibbs per se. I guess you're playing Brian Robinson over him. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. You're fine there, Lock Screen Gaming. I'm fine with that. Thank you. Goofy Gibbon says, PPR, Zach Evans, Jaleel McLaughlin, or Jeff Wilson. If I'm playing one in a full PPR, it's probably Jaleel McLaughlin out of the bunch. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from Fabian. Fabian, thank you. Says Geno Smith or Watson. It's probably Geno Smith. Jalen Warren or Zach Evans. Jalen Warren. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mason Mills sends in a question. Where's Mason's question? Control F. Mason Mills. Nothing got attached to your super chat, Mason. Do me a favor and type in the chat. Thanks. RB Hell right now says Brandon Reynolds or Evans. I probably end up playing Reynolds there. I don't love it, but that's probably the play. Considering I don't even know what Evans is going to be in the given week. Christopher says half PPR Myers or Gibbs. Give me give me Gibbs. Yeah, for sure. Give me the starting running back in that case. King Josh says, how about Rachaad White and Deontay Johnson for Pollard or too much? Wait, what? No, 100% give it. Give away Rachaad White, give away Deontay Johnson. No one's going to give you Pollard for that. If someone does, you've just swindled someone. But if you can get Pollard for Rachaad White and Deontay Johnson, you're stealing candy from a baby. Darth Raider says half PPR Osborne or pick up Wan'Dale Robinson. I'd pick up Wan'Dale Robinson there. Pokemon says Michael Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and or Josh Downs full PPR. Flex rest of season. If we're talking about rest of season, I'd like to have Josh Downs as my rest of season option. If we're talking about this week, it's Wan'Dale Robinson. Thank you. Drew Soul says better long-term stash. Keep 2, Quentin Johnston, Josh Reynolds, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed. Better long-term stash. It's Quentin Johnston and it's probably Josh Reynolds alongside of him. I don't really trust Rashid Shaheed on a consistent basis. Again, he's boom or bust very, very often. Jaden Reed's also in that kind of similar conversation now that Christian Watson has returned. So yeah, for right now, I'd probably say Quentin Johnston and Josh Reynolds. Thank you. Andrew Clark says, I need help with my running backs this week. Foreman, Henderson, Elijah Mitchell, or Jordan Mason, or pick up Craig Reynolds. Out of the bunch, I'd probably end up playing Foreman as your number 1. As for your number 2, I'd probably just wait until Monday night and play Elijah Mitchell alongside of Christian McCaffrey and just hope for 10-plus touches on the ground. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Corey Miller. It says PPR Waller or Mayer? Give me Waller, especially with Tyrod Taylor most likely being the starting quarterback, as Daniel Jones is quote-unquote a long shot to play. 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel was declared out for Monday Night Football versus the Vikings with a hairline fracture in his shoulder. According to Coach Kyle Shanahan, he'll miss 2 games, then be reevaluated. Wow. That's crazy. The injuries keep stacking up, huh? They just keep stacking up. Okay, so we had a couple questions here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. We're looking for Mason Mills still in the chat. We took care of Drew. We took care of... So we had DeAndre Warren. Thank you. PPR, I have Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Addison, Montgomery, Achane. I traded Mixon and Pickens for Gibbs and Najee Harris. How do you feel about the trade? I'm okay with it. I guess the issue is Mixon is a better option than Gibbs rest of the season. But I guess Gibbs is your handcuff, but even then, it's not worth it. Pickens is better than Najee. I honestly don't love the trade. I'll be honest, DeAndre. I know you needed playable running backs, but at this point... Yeah, no, I get it. I understand it. I just feel like mortgaging the rest of your season off of just getting 1 victory this week, I guess if your record is bad enough, I could justify it, but otherwise it's tough. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from... That's fine. Cool. Where's Mason? Anything from Mason yet? Mason Mills. No question, just appreciation. Thank you. Appreciate it. Much love. All right, let's see here. We buy homes near you. Seth, which wide receiver 2? Just the YouTube name is hilarious, man. Which wide receiver 2 and quarterback pick? All right, let's see here. Wide receiver 2 and quarterback. So you have Watson, you have Lockett, you have Samuel, you have Davis or Godwin. Out of the bunch, I'd probably play Christian Watson there. Out of your quarterbacks, Smith, Purdy, Howell, Love, and Goff, I'd probably end up playing Purdy. Yeah, so I'll go Purdy and Goff as my 1-2 quarterback options. Watson and Davis as my 1-2 wide receiver options. Thank you. Elias says, why was my question not answered from an hour ago? What question? I mean, let's see here. The only person that I have with a name Elias in my chat is Jacob Elias, whose question is Chris Godwin or Deontay Johnson, which I answered earlier, which was play Chris Godwin. So Elias, I don't have a single message from you in the chat unless it was like legitimately an hour ago. It could have been an hour ago, but again, I don't look down the chat like just from top to bottom. I just, every time I look here, then I go here and it's the most updated one. And I look here to here. So it's not technically in an order. I'm not trying to ignore you. So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. What do we have? Thank you again, Mason. I appreciate it. J. Dot says, what's up, Kirchhoff? Full PPR. I've got Rashee Rice and JSN. Would you place any of them on the flex? Or would you stick with James Cook? Yeah, I'd stick with James Cook. I'm fine with him. Trade Flowers for Debo? No. I don't know how quickly a hairline fracture heals. I think we'll need an opinion of a doctor before we get to trading for Debo. Jordan Mason or Elijah Mitchell if Christian McCaffrey is out. Everything that I've read indicates that it's going to be Elijah Mitchell. MD the Great says, hey, Andrew, do you think when Roschon Johnson comes back, he'll be the RB1, or you think he'll be a third down back? I think it's going to be a committee once he comes back, especially considering there's no Justin Fields. I think it'll probably end up being a committee, unfortunately. Captain Booty says, half PPR, Tyler Algier, Mitchell if McCaffrey is out, or pick up Keontae Ingram or Gibson. I'd probably just play Algier there, considering we don't know. I mean, the chances are Christian McCaffrey is going to play. So if I'm playing the best of the bunch, it's Tyler Algier out of the group. Two-man league, Chase or Cup PPR. If I'm Chase or Cup rest of season, I'd rather have Chase. Let's see here. Komet or Logan Thomas? Logan Thomas. Don't know how much I can trust that quarterback. We had a question that came in from Mac. Mac, thank you very much. Just traded Jerome Ford for Tua and Javonte Williams. Did I win? It depends who your quarterback was. If your quarterback was, Anthony Richardson and you were trying to replace him, I think that's a fine trade. I'm fine with that. That definitely helps your team a lot. All right, let's see here. Daniel in the chat says, would you rather have Jerome Ford or Amari Cooper rest of season? It depends what kind of scoring format you're in. If it's like a half, well, actually depends what you need. Like if we're just saying objectively who's going to score more points rest of the year, I'd probably venture to say it's Amari Cooper once in fact Deshaun Watson's healthy. But outside of that situation, if you need a running back, then because there's far less good running backs in the NFL than there are good wide receivers. That's just the nature of the position, right? So if you're in a position to where you need running back depth, you'd probably rather have him than Amari. But if we're just talking about rest of season, who's scoring more in the flex, I'd probably lean towards Amari Cooper there. Craig says flex, half PPR, Deontay Johnson or Rashee Rice. I'd probably go with Deontay there. Ravens defense, Seahawks defense, or Commanders. Let me check who I have the ranked highest. Let's see. As of the bunch, I have Seattle at 6. I have Washington at 7. And who is your other defensive option? Baltimore? Yeah, so Seattle's the number one defense out of the bunch that you mentioned specifically. Let's see here. What's up? Trade Kenneth Walker and Lamar Jackson for Justin Jefferson and Patrick Mahomes, PPR. Depends. I think in a vacuum, I could justify it. But at the moment, considering I don't know what the rest of your lineup looks like, I don't know how much running back depth you have, Greek. It's kind of hard to say whether you should do that. I'm going to assume that you have enough running back depth to take advantage of it, but I don't know what your record is. I don't know what the running back depth looks like. It's kind of tough to say at this position without more context. Trade Goff for Flowers. Goff is my backup. Sure, why not? Foreman or Jeff Wilson Jr.? I'd probably just play Foreman there. Trade Madison and Addison for D-Hop and Jonathan Taylor. Let's think about this. D-Hop and Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so here's the problem. DeAndre Hopkins has no value for the remainder of the season if Malik Willis is the starting quarterback of that team. So you'd basically be trading Addison and Madison for Jonathan Taylor, which I could justify doing, but again, it's sketchy considering you're losing a little bit of depth there at both positions. But I'm okay with the trade ultimately. Just understand that DeAndre Hopkins is not going to do anything for you, because Ryan Tannehill is probably going to be on the IR real soon here after they come back from their bye week. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Let me close a couple of these tabs that I opened up earlier. Evan says, hi, Andrew. I have Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, St. Brown. Should I trade Mostert and Amari Cooper for Waddle and Kyren Williams? I mean, honestly, Kyren Williams probably eligible to return when? Let me see here. When is his eligibility to return? Doesn't even have it updated. Okay. So I'll wait to see what exactly his designation of return is. I think in the short term, depending on what your record is, if you're in like a 4-2, 3-3, 2-4, and you're not 5-1 or undefeated, you probably want to keep Mostert and just keep racking up wins. That's just my thought process in the moment. I think rest of season, it probably does serve you best to have Waddle and Kyren Williams, but I just don't know what your record is, and I don't know if you can sustain not having Kyren for the next 4 or 5 weeks. That's the issue. All right, let's see here. We took care of that. Awesome. David says, do you like Kareem Hunt this week? It depends. Kareem Hunt could end up being inactive because he's been dealing with a little bit of an injury. If in fact he is active, I do like him. Primarily because the run-stop defense of the Indianapolis Colts will be down a couple key members. One of their starting defensive tackles and nose guard got suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. And then DeForest Buckner did not even practice on Friday, so there's an expectation that he could additionally miss. If that's 2 of your starting interior defensive linemen out, running the ball is going to be relatively easy for the Cleveland Browns. Trade Chase for Christian McCaffrey. I already have Lamb, Amon-Ra, Eckler. Yeah, I don't mind that. Let's do it for sure. Start Love or Deshaun Watson. I'll take Jordan Love there. Randall says, Randall Cobblers says, should I trade Tyreek Hill, Tyler Lockett, Alexander Madison for Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, Jacoby Myers, and Jonathan Taylor? Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in fantasy right now. Probably will be for the remainder of the season. So if we're trading him with Lockett and Alexander Madison for Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I think the trade probably serves you best. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with the trade. I don't mind it. But that's under the assumption that Jonathan Taylor, begins actually getting himself a 75 to 80% usage of this backfield. Deshaun Watson rest the season. If he's healthy, he's good. If he's not healthy, it kind of answers itself, right? Should I get Christian McCaffrey for Bijan Robinson and Nico Collins? Should I get Christian McCaffrey for Bijan Robinson? Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm fine with Christian McCaffrey rest season in that scenario. Again, the oblique injury is only going to potentially keep him limited or not even have him miss a game for like 1 or 2 weeks. Like, I'm not really worried about it. Geno Smith or Burrow rest season? Burrow. Hold on to Latavius, Charbonnet, and Dillon, or drop one for Henderson. I'd probably drop Latavius Murray for Henderson. I'm fine with that. I don't ever see you starting Latavius Murray. That's the issue, right? Like, unless he scores a touchdown, you can't really start him. And you don't know if he's going to score a touchdown considering how inconsistent they have been in that regard. Ralph sends in a question, says, Elijah Moore or Michael Wilson full PPR? If Deshaun Watson plays, I'll play Elijah Moore. If he doesn't, I'll play Michael Wilson there. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Ebbs and Flow says, greetings, Andrew. I have Mostert, Gibbs, Moss, Herbert, Roshan, Algier, Gibson, Evans. You got a lot of running backs, huh? Drop Gibson for Darrell Henderson? Yes, I would drop Antonio Gibson for Darrell Henderson. That's fine by me. Pick 2 starters, Christian McCaffrey / Mitchell, Madison, Ingram, Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeez. It's probably Christian McCaffrey and Madison, Craig. And if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play, you have Mitchell to play in his stead. Thank you. Wilson or Warren in a full PPR? Michael Lewis. I'd play Warren there. Let's see here. Drop Henderson for Ingram? No. Drop Ingram for Henderson. That would be my suggestion, the other way around. Raiders defense or Tampa Bay defense this week? Corey, I have Tampa Bay ranked higher. Should I keep Olave or trade him? My other wide receivers are Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins. I would keep him. He had 15 targets the other night. If it wasn't for a couple of those drop passes, the guy is a fantastic play within the given week. Hey, Andrew, how are you? I'm doing good, Ravi. 12-team, full PPR, 6-0. Burrow, Swift, Mostert, Diggs, Lamb, Kittle, Higgins. Any trade suggestions? Eventually, you should probably move on from Mostert. Outside of that, probably not. Because eventually Achane's going to return, and if and when he does, he'll probably take over for Mostert, and that'll certainly diminish his value in comparison to where it is currently. Big Morse says, I need a wide receiver in a flex. I have Foreman, Judy, Osborne, Mitchell, and Wan'Dale Robinson, full PPR. If you need a wide receiver in a flex, I'd probably end up playing Wan'Dale Robinson as the wide receiver and probably Osborne as the flex alongside of him. Who do I flex full PPR? Algier, Foreman, or Reynolds? In a full PPR, I'd probably end up playing Reynolds out of the group there, Brandon. Two of the cornerbacks that are in the rotation, or at least one of the starting safeties for the Baltimore Ravens and one of the rotational wide receivers, they're going to be out this week. So their secondary is going to be a little bit undermanned to an extent. On top of that, Jared Goff's going to probably have to throw for majority of the game. So Josh Reynolds is a pretty solid play there. We had a question that came in from Auntie Slayer. Says, I'm down bad. I need a fix. Pickens, Zach Evans, or Mayer. If I'm starting one of the three, I'm playing George Pickens. Also, pick up Darrell Henderson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and start in the flex. No, I'm fine playing George Pickens there in the flex. I don't have a problem with that. Thank you, Auntie Slayer. Appreciate it. We had a question that came in from John. John says, pick one in a flex position, standard, DJ Moore or Foreman. That's a good question. Against the Raiders, I'd probably end up playing DJ Moore there. Yeah, I'd probably end up playing DJ Moore there in that scenario. Constantino says, pick one, Javonte Williams, Moss, Foreman, or Madison. Out of that group, I'd probably end up playing Javonte Williams. Patrick Moore says, would you rather have Wan'Dale Robinson or Elijah Moore? Probably Wan'Dale Robinson. Considering Paris Campbell's been relegated to being a special teams player, Wan'Dale Robinson is, I mean, we talked about him a lot last year. He's a really good player. So now that he's healthy coming off that ACL, he's getting more integration within the offense. He's probably more of a keeping option on my team rather than the alternative that you mentioned. Raiders defense or Tampa Bay. Again, we're running with Tampa Bay there. Trade Kyron Williams and DJ for DeAndre Swift. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let's trade Kyron and Deontay Johnson for Swift. I'm fine with that. Drake London or Deontay Johnson this week in the flex. I'd probably play Drake London there, just to be safe. Would you rather play Hawkinson or Musgrave? I'd rather play Hawkinson. I know Musgrave's got a great matchup, but yeah, I do prefer Hawkinson. Deontay Johnson, Waller, Rice, or Dobbs, half PPR. Caden, I'd play Waller there. Thank you. Let's see here. What do we got? Okay, cool. KJ Osborne or Wan'Dale. Yes, I would drop KJ Osborne for Wan'Dale Robinson, especially in a full PPR. DJ Moore or Deontay Johnson this week. I like DJ Moore. Thank you. All right, guys. For those of you who have been joining us for the last hour and a half, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. We've been answering as many questions as I possibly can. Do not forget, tomorrow we'll be live streaming from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the channel. Throughout the overall live stream tomorrow morning, there will be rankings on screen behind me for my top 36 updated running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. We'll also be mentioning top 16 kickers and defenses. I'll probably, by tomorrow morning, I'll make a graphic for top 10 or top 12 kickers and defenses so that we're all on the same page there. Just so I don't have to continue to mention, I'll just kind of transition the graphic. So I'll do that by tomorrow morning. Outside of that, if you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button. There's about 400 of you here and about 200 likes. So if we can get closer to the number of how many people are in the chat, be greatly appreciated. I'm going to go back to answering a couple more questions for about 4 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and head on over to Underdog Fantasy and put together a couple pick'em slips. And hopefully you guys can help me complete a couple pick'em slips that end up winning some money this week. Anonymous says, I'm a Javonte owner, and he's my RB2 with Kyron Williams out. Do I drop McLaughlin for Henderson? Yeah, I'm willing to do so. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Darth Raider says, should I drop? Okay, we took care of that. Austin M says, DJ. Okay, we took care of that. AJ Wright says, Mr. Kirchhoff, thoughts on Jameson Williams rest of season? He's a deep receiving threat, and until he sees more of a snap share within the offense, he'll probably continue to maintain as that. I mean, I'm actually curious. Let me go check. I wonder how much 3 wide receiver sets this team plays. Because like last week, Jameson Williams literally only played 16% of the offensive snaps. Or sorry, he only played 16 snaps, which was 23%. So he played less snaps than Marvin Jones, and he almost plays less snaps than Khalif Raymond. Amon-Ra played 91% of the snaps. Josh Reynolds played 81% of the snaps. So Josh Reynolds for sure is the wide receiver to that team. Jameson Williams is a luxury piece that probably can't be started. He's like Tutu Atwell at the moment. So he's sketchy. If he scores a touchdown, great. Otherwise, not a great play. Yeah, until they transition him into being the Josh Reynolds role, which I don't know if they're going to, he's pretty much an unreliable option unless you're in a desperate situation and you're hoping for a touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson or Brian Robinson? I'd probably end up playing Brian Robinson just to be safe there. Pick one, Jeff Wilson, Hunt, or Reynolds. I'd probably end up playing Hunt or Reynolds there, depending on the scoring format. Half PPR 1, full PPR, go with the wide receiver. Andrew Clark says Sutton, Brandon Powell, or Ray McLeod in the flex. I'd end up playing Sutton there, yeah. Cortland Sutton. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Reese, 2010. Says, my wide receivers are Devonta Smith, Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, Zay Flowers, and Garrett Wilson. I feel like I need a true wide receiver 1. My running backs are Christian McCaffrey, Monty, Achane. Should I trade Devonta Smith, Kenneth Walker for Diggs, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown? I don't understand. Are you trading 2 for 1 in these scenarios, Reese? Because if that's the case, the answer is no. If you have Christian McCaffrey, Montgomery, Kenneth Walker, and Achane, you should keep your running backs as is. You can make a trade after Achane returns. But until then, at this point, you're holding your running backs, and I think your wide receivers are enough to suffice in the scenario. I mean, like, you're saying you need a true wide receiver 1. Christian Kirk is really that true wide receiver 1 for you as of right now. And at this point, I think Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, they get the job done. So I wouldn't be trading 2 pieces away for just 1 wide receiver, especially if you're giving away Kenneth Walker, who's a top 5 running back rest of season, who, in my opinion, if you're going to trade him away for like Keenan Allen, that would be a 1 for 1 in my mind in a half PPR. That's not a 2 for 1. Thank you. Tommy D says, I need 1 flex standard, Ford, Javonte, Deontay, or Lockett. In a standard scoring format, Tommy D, I would play Jerome Ford this week. Thank you. Iceberg Wants a Bag says, what's up? Should I start Foreman or Osborne this week? I like Foreman. Henry Highland sends in a super chat. Let me see if I can find Henry's question. Henry Highland says 10-team half PPR flex options. Rice, Jameson Williams, Judy, Alexander Madison. Out of the group, it's probably Alexander Madison 1, Rice 2, Judy 3, Jameson Williams 4. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Mel Bailey. Thank you, Mel. Says, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Full PPR. Please rank the flex. We have Laporta, Warren, JSN, Osborne, Elijah Moore, Romeo Dobbs, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Oh, man. You want me to rank them off the top of my head? I don't even have my flex rankings done for a full PPR yet. If I was to rank these guys off the top of my head, it would probably go Laporta 1, Wan'Dale Robinson 2, Romeo Dobbs 3, JSN 4, Warren 5, Elijah Moore 6, KJ Osborne 7. Thank you. As for your kicker question, Mel says Gano, Boswell, Gay, or Dicker. Let me see who I have ranked highest. You didn't mention. I have Boswell at 8. I have Gano at 11. I have Gay at 12. And I have Cameron Dicker at 15. So I would end up suggesting playing Boswell there in LA, no weather concerns, probably a lot of field goals to be made. TJ Watt or Jay Jewell as a defense. Yeah, I don't play in IDP league, so I don't know what the independent defensive player values are between those two players. So I couldn't even make a suggestion there. Thank you. Silly Sybin says, Deontay Johnson or Curtis Samuel? I'll take Curtis Samuel there. Thank you. We had a question from Matthew Palmer. Matthew, hope you're doing well. Thank you. Matthew says, Discord message. Can you check it? Yeah. Let's see where it is. Okay. So the Discord message. Hey, Andrew. I need to drop 2. Only allowed 4 bench plus 1 IR. I need to bundle some of, the options or drop. I'm 2 and 4. I need to win also. How's the line looking for? Okay, let's see here. So if we're looking at the team and you need to drop someone, right? You need to drop 2 players. Holy moly. Okay. Let's see what this bench looks like. Wait, you need to drop 2? Why do you need to drop 2? Oh, because you don't have a kicker or a defense. Oh, goodness. Oh, man. Okay. So here's my suggestion. Unless you're trading away Achane at the moment, or you're so here's the thing. You'd probably have to offload Higgins, Hopkins, Achane, or you drop Rice and you drop Romeo Doubs and you play DK Metcalf as your wide receiver. I know he's questionable, but I think that's probably the play. If by tomorrow morning you're in a position where they're like, yeah, DK Metcalf is going, you play DK Metcalf as your starter, you drop Dobbs, you drop Rashee Rice, you go pick up your kicker in your defense. Thank you. As for if the lineup looks good, I mean, yeah, as long as you make those moves, you'll be fine at that point. That would be the best case scenario there. Ralph sends in a question, says, down bad, risky proposition. Play both Commanders, RBs, full PPR. That is extremely risky. I could understand why you would do it, but at the same time, Antonio Gibson is so sketchy. Like right now, in terms of my running back rankings, let me see where I have. Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson is my number 39 RB. So like he's an okay play, but I don't love it. So in that case, I guess if that's the best available option, let's go for it. Okay, so we took care of psilocybin, we took care of Ralph, we took care of Mel, Matthew, we took care of that. Okay. Tristan sends in a question. Tristan says, half PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, Hollywood Brown, Watson, Flowers, and Cook. Really good question there. I would probably end up playing Flowers and Cook. Thank you. HG Keep Grinding says, Moss or Jeff Wilson? I'll take Zach Moss there. Thank you. McGritty says, would you rather play Hawkinson or Musgrave? I'd rather play Hawkinson. Joshua says, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Jordan Mason this week, assuming McCaffrey is out. I'm leaning towards Mason since, yeah, but look, we're assuming McCaffrey's out. If McCaffrey plays on Monday night, you're screwed. So I guess you could try it, but it's very sketchy. You need to have an alternative option outside of Mason. So like if McCaffrey does end up playing and Mason doesn't get any touches, you'd be in a little bit of trouble, right? Alrighty, let's see here. Good to go. Awesome, perfect. David says, sorry, Andrew, in a full PPR, Jeff Wilson, Hunt, or Craig Reynolds. I'd rather play Hunt out of the group in a full PPR. Appreciate it. Thank you. QD Miles says, I need a running back. Should I pick up Dylan off the waivers? And should I drop him? Sorry. And should I drop him for, okay, yeah, Osborne or Dobbs? If you pick up Dylan off the waivers, it's for Osborne. And you drop Osborne, and you could potentially play A.J. Dillon tomorrow, potentially. You said unload T. Higgins, Achane, or D-Hop. Who do I target? I mean, look, if you're going to get rid of Achane, you need to go get another running back. And well, actually, let me look at your running backs. You have Barkley, you have Brian Robinson, you have Stevenson, you have Gibbs. Yeah, you would probably go to unload for a top-tier receiver. So go and let me think about this. Who is potentially worth losing Achane for? As a wide receiver at the moment, I'd probably venture to say like I'm going and knocking on the door of someone who has. Yeah, but it's gonna be tough, right? Like I want to. Yeah. Like I would venture to say, like, okay, let's go see what the Mike Evans manager wants, and let's see if he'll take some of these guys. I'd even say the same thing about potentially Christian. Well, no, Christian Watson's like a lateral play. Like you can go move Higgins for, but then you're not really. Yeah, like I would probably send like Achane and Higgins and try to go get a Keenan Allen or try to go get a top tier option. Otherwise, you have to 2-for-1 it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. At this point, it's probably in your best interest to drop DeAndre Hopkins outright alongside of either Dobbs or Rashee Rice than to go make a trade. Probably. All right, let's see here. Let me get back to some of these other questions. AJ Dillon or McLaughlin? I have AJ Dillon ranked higher this week. Trade Nico Collins for Higgins? I'd probably rather keep Nico Collins. Darrell Henderson, Osborne, Deontay Johnson, or Rice? I'd rather play Deontay Johnson out of the group. Would you rather have Logan Thomas or Michael Mayer rest of the season? I don't know if Michael Mayer is going to keep it up. I would hope that he does. If I was going to pick one of the two, I'd probably hope that the rookie could get some value, and I'd probably pick him up. But can't say objectively one way or the other who's going to be better. It's kind of a coin toss considering how inconsistent tight ends have been. Geno Smith or Sam Howell? I'd rather play Geno there. Saquon or DeAndre Swift in a full PPR scoring format? I have DeAndre Swift ranked higher this week. Who should I start? Zach Moss, Jacoby Myers, or Deontay Johnson in a full PPR? Oh, that's a good question. I'd probably end up playing Jacoby Myers there. Dylan Smith says I did Achane for Mike Evans straight up. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. That's what I'm thinking. Like, at this point, if you're in desperate need of wide receiver depth, Achane's not coming back till week 11. That means you have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, that's literally a 4-week span in which you won't have him available to you. If you lose those 4 weeks, you're screwed. I don't mind. Yeah, I think that's good, especially considering Tampa Bay's already hit their bye week. That's not bad. Pollard for Breece Hall? I don't mind that. I mean, I would assume that Pollard has more upside, but honestly, Breece Hall's looked great, so I don't mind that. Elijah Mitchell or Craig Reynolds? Elijah Mitchell. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, should I play Moss Warren in a full PPR this week? Moss or Jalen Warren? I'd probably end up playing Jalen Warren. Never mind. I'll probably just play Moss. Just because off of what Moss has done in the last 2 games, he'll probably have just as much receiving upside technically. So, yeah, let's just go with Moss there. Ray or Jennings to replace Debo? I'd rather have Juwan Jennings. Okay, Josh Reynolds or Curtis Samuel? I'd probably go with Curtis Samuel there. I'm going to go ahead. Let me open up Underdog Fantasy really quickly here. Let's see if anybody can help me put together a pick'em slip, shall we? We're going to go ahead and transition the graphic really quickly and get to the NFL. Perfect. Awesome. Done. Let's see how the screen capture works. Here we go. Here comes the ball. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, again, if you guys want to go, oh, you know what? I have to update the ranking or the banner here. Let's go update the banner. 2 weeks, 7. Boom, perfect. Okay, like I mentioned before, guys, if you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, there's a link down in the description. If you sign up using code Andrew today, ANDREW, my name, and make a first-time deposit minimum of $10, not only are you going to get the first-time deposit match, you're also going to get my ranking sent to you every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season. Again, that's rankings by position, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and defense. Flex rankings as well, by tier, half PPR, full PPR. So all-encompassing rankings. All you got to do, take advantage of the opportunity, use code Andrew, make it first-time deposit, minimum of $10 once, and that's it. You're good. You get the rankings every single Sunday for the remainder of the year. There's a link down in the description. Also, when you go ahead and do so, this upcoming Sunday, there will be a play of Lamar Jackson, 0.5 total yards, that you will have available for you to take advantage of to put together a pick'em slip. So let's go ahead. Has anybody got any suggestions in regards to pick'em slips that they have found this week that seem far too easy to pass up on? While I wait for that answer, let me go ahead and answer the question that came in from Napa. Napa sends in a question. Thank you, Napa. I appreciate it. Hi, Andrew. Full PPR flex. I'm 3-3 with Mixon, Kamara, Lamb, Cup. Flex options are Palmer, Bourne, and Spears. Would you trade a big player to get a better flex? Mixon, Kamara, Lamb, Cup. Flex options are Palmer, Bourne. No, I wouldn't. I'd keep what you have, considering Lamb, Cup, and Kamara, even Mixon eventually. These are great options. I'm perfectly fine starting Palmer in the flex and or Spears going forward. Thank you, Napa. We had a question from Carlos Douglas Jr. Says, full PPR, I need 2 out of the 4. Jawan Jennings, KJ Osborne, Michael Wilson, Jahan Dotson. 2 out of the 4, I'd play KJ Osborne and Michael Wilson. Bye weeks are killing me. Thank you, Andrew. No problem, Carlos. Thank you. All righty. Long-term Burrow or Stroud? Burrow. Okay. So in terms of some of the better plays in terms of the NFL, let's see here. As of right now, there's the 100K play. If you guys aren't familiar, if you go ahead and you just put Marquise Hollywood Brown within one of your pick'em slips this week, whether you get it correct, no matter how much money you put that pick and slip in for, you can be eligible to win $10,000. These are 10 people last week that won 10K by just putting it in. 10 people win 10K. At least this week is 100 people. What is it? But it's $100 to 1,000. Okay, so this week it's $100 to 1,000 different people. Okay, so a little bit more expansive for the 100K play, but either way, still have a chance of winning some UD cash if you guys are interested. Marquise Hollywood Brown at 54.5 total yards. Okay, let's see here. If I travel down, you know what's funny? I had Amon-Ra in yesterday's video it was at 6.0. They moved it up a half. I mean, of course they did. Of course. I think the number yesterday was in 22 of his last 25 regular season games, he has had 6 or more receptions. So 6 would have had you break even. Now they're like, hey, now it's got to be 7 or you can't even break even at this point anymore, which is a little rough, but it is what it is. Let's see here. What has Josh Reynolds done in terms of receptions? 3-4-3. Are we assuming that he can't catch the ball 3 times tomorrow in a game where it's like heavy passing? Like, I feel like this is capable. It certainly is capable. At least it has to be, right? Am I crazy? We had a question in the chat, super chat. Thank you very much, Aldwin. Says, I'm 5-1. Cook for Nico Collins, Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, JT Diggs, and Watson. Bijan, Kenneth Walker, JT. Yeah, considering your running back depth, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. I don't mind it. Pittman over 5 receptions. Are you sure about that? Really? Michael Pittman Jr. Even against San Francisco, man, that San Francisco defense is no joke, man. I mean, it's a lot of man coverage and it's a lot of tight press. That's the issue. Let's see here. Just got offered my Diggs and Kenneth Walker for his Tyreek Hill. No, keep Diggs and Kenneth Walker. What? Jason Rodriguez, thank you very much, Jason, says, I just traded Diggs and Jonnu for Amon-Ra and Laporta. Still have Lamb, Watson, Godwin, Jameson Williams. Pretty even trade. Yeah, I would venture to say it's relatively even. I like the trade, though. I like getting back the tight end support there. Even though Jonnu Smith's been solid, but I don't mind that at all. Lamar, 28.5 passing attempts. Flowers, 57.5 receiving yards. Where's Lamar on this list? It's 29.5. And then what is Flowers at? 55.5 receiving yards. Yeah, I mean, that's probably relatively safe. Let me see here. Zay Flowers. I'm actually curious. What is his yard totals thus far this season? 50, 73, 56, 48, 62, 78. So as of late, a little bit slower, but ultimately has been able to surpass it in 4 out of the last 6 games. Yeah, that's probably the better option. I don't know about Lamar Jackson eclipsing. I mean, 29. That's rushing. That's passing attempts. Yeah, okay. 29.5 passing attempts, huh? 30-38. Yeah, in a game in which they won't be able to run the ball, considering how great the run-stop defense is, that makes sense, and so does this. Okay, all right. I don't mind that. I'm going to actually just put this in. I don't know, man. This Josh Reynolds number actually scares me. I'm going to wait on that. It actually, you know what? It shouldn't even scare me. I don't know if there's even a possibility in which he doesn't get. He's playing 81% of the snaps. If they run the ball consistently, yeah, but if Jahmyr Gibbs isn't going to... I'm going to wait on it. I'll wait on it for now. Let me go back to answering a couple questions. But Raul, yeah, that's a good suggestion in the chat, though, in regards to Lamar and Flowers. Let's see here. We had a question that came in the chat. Gabe Davis versus New England or KJ Osborne versus San Francisco? I'd play Gabe Davis there. McLaughlin or Rashee Rice? I'd play Rashee Rice. Dominic says, hey, Andrew, full PPR. Who would you choose, Madison, Osborne, or Kendrick Bourne? I'd probably, out of the three, I'd probably end up playing Madison there. Bijan Robinson over 83.5 rushing / receiving. What's his totals been as of late, though? Because playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is not an easy task. Like, it really isn't. As of late, let's see here. Last week had himself 80 total yards. Yeah, 80 total yards. The week prior, 58. The week prior to that, 137. Then he had 60. He has boom or bust games very often. Actually, probably far too often. Let me see. Where's Bijan on this list? Bijan. What is his total? 83.5. I want to hope that he can do that, but I don't know if he will. That's the tough part. I want to hope he's capable, but it's so tough, man. It is so tough, especially when he's got a tough matchup. Like, I'm willing to even go into this conversation and just pick this lower objectively because no one runs the ball well on... Yeah, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to just put one more together with this and just have an all Ravens kind of play here. And then we'll just move on to other teams. JSN or Gabe Davis? Patrick, I'd go with Gabe Davis. Samuel over 3.5 receptions. I'm assuming that's Curtis Samuel. The issue with, oh man, you know, it's not bad. It's actually, let me see here. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, now that you said Samuel, how about Wan'Dale? Is Wan'Dale Robinson here? 36 receiving yards, likely with, yeah. This is what I'll do. I'm going to take that higher. I'm going to just roll with this. Just make a nice little $5 entry. And then I'm going to submit it. Do I put insurance on this thing? If I get 3 out of them, nah, it's only $5. Let's just roll with this. That I don't mind. That I don't mind at all. I think that's a low enough receiving yard total, especially with Tyrod Taylor playing, that I'm comfortable with that. Let me see here. Let's go back to the chat. We had Tyler send in a question. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tyler. Tyler Von Essen says, I'm 4-2 full PPR. I have Hurts. I have Cooks. I have Brian Robinson. I have Achane. I have Hubbard. I have Jameson Williams, Algier, Lamb, Olave, Flowers, Moore, Collins, Dobb. Okay, interesting team, huh? So you have Jalen Hurts, Cook, Robinson, Achane, Hubbard, Javonte Williams, Algier, Lamb, Olave, Flowers, Moore, Collins, Dobbs, Kittle. Any suggestions? So your quarterback's solid. Your tight end solid. I'm not making any moves there. As for running back, Brian Robinson Jr., Achane, Cook. Once you get Achane back, you're fine. I think as of right now, you're kind of dealing with having players that are on the cusp of either being a low-end low-end RB1 or kind of a middling RB2 based on touchdown potential. But I'm okay with Cook and Robinson. Lamb is fine. Olave is fine. Flowers is fine. I guess you could end up looking to make a trade to where you move one of these running backs alongside of either Moore or Collins for an upgrade at the running back position. Like you could take Cook, take him with Collins, try to go get, an upgrade potentially. But if you're making an upgrade there, maybe we go after like a Breece Hall or something of that extent. Maybe you could do that with Brian Robinson and Nico Collins. That's the only thing that I would think of. Otherwise, you're not really moving too many pieces in this, in this scenario. We had a question from Marvin Lewis. Thank you, Marvin. It says, standard league, should I drop Jameson Williams and pick up Rams, Tampa, or Raiders defense to start over my Eagles defense? Yes, I would suggest picking up Tampa and playing them over the Eagles defense this week. Thank you. It says, no starter sit questions, but I do have a trade request. I receive Jacoby Myers and James Cook, and he receives Kenneth Walker. Should I accept? I probably wouldn't. I don't know how long Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be out for, and if it's going to... If it's going to be a while, I'd be afraid of making that trade, to be honest. If Jimmy Garoppolo was healthy for the remainder of the season, I'd happily make the trade. But in that case, outside of knowing that, I'd be worried to make a move of that sort. DTN Rom 88 says, PPR, give Dobbs and Pierce for Deebo Samuel and Schultz. Given the new Deebo Samuel news. If you're trying to buy low on Deebo Samuel, you can. I don't know what your running back depth looks like to where you're giving away Pierce. And I don't know what your tight end depth looks like in regards to that. So I don't know those variables, but I'm okay with the trade. That's fine by me. Anthony Barrett says, pick 2 PPR, Godwin, Gabe Davis, DJ Moore. Out of those three options, if I'm picking 2 in a full PPR scoring format, I'd probably just play Godwin and Davis there in a full PPR. Christian Watson or Michael Pittman Jr., full PPR. I'd probably play Christian Watson there. Samuel says, with Deebo Samuel out, Laporta playing through injury, would you play Kittle over Laporta? No, I wouldn't. I'd probably would I play Kittle over Laporta? Oh man, I mentioned it the other day. What was the stat that I mentioned the other day? Let me go find it. In the last 8 games where George Kittle has played without Deebo Samuel in the lineup, where's the stat? Let's see here. Yeah, in the last 8 games that Kittle has played without Deebo Samuel in the lineup, he's averaging 16 fantasy points per game and a half PPR. Maybe I do play Kittle there. Yeah, I don't know. I got to update my rankings. I'll have a clean suggestion by tomorrow morning for sure, though. Gucci Han Louis Han says, Big Dog, half PPR, Josh Palmer or Jordan Addison? I like Jordan Addison this week still. I'm okay with that. Updates on Christian McCaffrey. He practiced earlier today. Likely to play on Monday. Ford or Madison? I'd play Ford over Madison this week. Okay, let's see here. What other plays do we have potentially here? So we went ahead and put in a bunch of plays for the Ravens players. What else is there available? Deshaun Watson. I mean, look, these numbers itself leans me towards believing that Deshaun Watson's going to play. Otherwise, I don't think they would have these even implicated here. The idea of Amari Cooper not surpassing 62.5 receiving yards is quite egregious in my mind. I think that's a pretty solid number. Even if it's PJ Walker that ends up playing this week, I don't see how that even makes sense. What else is a solid play this week? Let's scroll past this. Somebody was saying Michael Pittman Jr. and what was it, 5 receptions. The issue is, man, I just don't love the matchup. That's my issue. I don't love the matchup at all. It actually scares me, to be honest. Josh Allen, 20 fantasy points. I mean, he's averaging over 25 per game in the last 6 games he's played against New England. So he could probably surpass this quite easily. Just depends of whether or not he gets the rushing utilization that he typically does over the course of his last few outings against his defense. Let's see here. Okay, just making sure. Lil Boy Blue, where's your question? There wasn't anything attached to it. Emmanuel Ramirez says, full PPR, bench 1, Ford, Taylor, Hollywood Brown. In a full PPR, who am I benching out of those options? I'd probably end up benching Jonathan Taylor in a full PPR, to be honest. Anthony Barrett says Jalen Warren or Deontay Johnson. I'd probably end up playing Deontay Johnson either way in that scenario. Yeah, I'd probably end up playing Deontay Johnson there. Mateo in the chat was asking Foreman or Warren. It would only be Foreman in a standard or half PPR. It would be Warren in a full PPR. Kyler Murray or Justin Fields rest of the season. If they're both healthy, Justin Fields. Because the thing is, even if Kyler Murray's quote-unquote healthy, he's still coming off of the ACL, and we don't know how mobile he's going to be. He hasn't been a super relevant pocket passing quarterback. Typically where he benefits the most is when they have him rolling out and using his legs, and that's when he's been most deadly as a quarterback. So if he doesn't have that to his disposal, it'd be tough to trust him. Waller over 3.5 receptions. That's not a bad play either. Actually, now that you guys are pointing these out to me. Let's see here. Where is it? I mean, look, this is the one that I liked yesterday. 2.5 receptions for Ramondre. I mean, I probably won't put that in with another one. I want to kind of diversify a little bit here. Is there a play of him throwing an interception? I wonder what his actual home and away splits are for interceptions. Let me look this up. Desmond Ridder. Let me look at his home and away splits, because I know his away splits, he's really inconsistent in terms of turning over the ball. Let me just see what it looks like here. He actually throws more interceptions at home than he does away. How? Okay. I guess he's just too comfortable at home. They're letting him throw the ball too much. Never mind. Let me see here. There was another question that was sent in. Okay, so let me find Little Boy Blue's question. Little Boy Blue. Where? Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wrong screen. That's why. Little Boy Blue says, hey, Andrew, currently 6-0. Fields injured. Stroud on bye. Would you start Baker, Tyrod Taylor? I have Saquon. Ritter or Dobbs? I'd rather play Baker out of the bunch there, Little Boy Blue. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Okay, we're coming upon 3 o'clock here, actually. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to put together one more pick'em slip, and then I'm going to close out today's stream. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Keep that in mind. Someone in the chat just asked Amari Cooper or Puka Nacua. I would rather have Puka Nacua. Speaking of Puka, let's go see. Let me scroll down. Let me see what the Rams are in terms of their implicated numbers, and then I'll put together a slip for him. Let's see here. The Rams. Let's see. Where's Puka Nacua's numbers? 60 receiving yards. I think that's probably a pretty easy number to surpass. 5 receptions. I don't know why they have 5 receptions there. It probably should be like 4.5, but I guess they're just trying to play it a little bit tricky just to make us falter at times here. Let's see here. Does JSN have any numbers? Because I actually think tomorrow is the JSN day. He doesn't even have any numbers. They don't even have JSN posted because they don't know. They don't know what's going to happen. So the reason why I like JSN so much, for those of you guys who haven't checked out my Hidden Gems video from yesterday. So besides the fact that Tyler Lockett did not practice on Friday, DK Metcalf did not practice on Tuesday or Wednesday, and both of those guys are still dealing with their injuries. The primary top 2 nickel cornerbacks of the Arizona Cardinals are both out. Jalen Thompson and Antonio Hamilton. Both of them are out. Last week, besides playing 70+% of the offensive snaps, JSN played in the slot position 72% of the overall snaps he played. He's going to be primarily in the slot against a third-string nickel corner, which is only going to make it easier for him. I think it's a pretty decent week coming along here. Deontay Johnson for Kittle. You know what? Speaking of Kittle, let me throw Kittle in this. You guys are just mentioning names, and they're kind of firing me up, and I'm actually thinking these are great plays now. You guys just keep throwing out names, guys. Keep throwing out names. Let's see here. Pick one: DJ Moore, Cook, or Samuel. Pick in a half PPR there. Terry, I'm probably gonna go with Cook. Gus Edwards or Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice. London, Dobbs, or Flowers. Pick 2. I'd go with London and Flowers there. Ray McLeod, worth a flex this week? Probably not. Meant Warren or Deontay Johnson. Oh, Warren for Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I'm okay with that, Anthony. I'm fine with that. Let's see here. Where is Brian Robinson's numbers at? Brian Robinson. He's at 61.5 rushing yards. I think that's a relatively solid number. I'm actually curious. What does his rest of his numbers look like in this regard? 31, 45, 10. I know he's been really underwhelming, but these are tough matchups. These are not easy games. I'd probably venture to say, you know what? Let's just wait on it. I'm not as confident. If I don't immediately love it, I don't roll with it. What else is a solid option here? Let's see. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Someone was saying Terry or Curtis Samuel earlier, right? What does Curtis Samuel look like? 4, 6, and 7 receptions last 3 games. Not bad for 3.5. Not bad. Not bad at all. Darren Waller, 3.5. 5 last week. Should have been 6 if it wasn't for that pass interference at the end of the game. You know, it's also it's tight end day on Sunday this week, so might not be a bad play to have all these tight ends in there. Okay, a couple more questions in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and put together a pick'em slip and send it off. JK in the chat was saying the following. Full PPR flex 1, London, Flowers, Pickens, and Rice. If I'm picking 1, JK, it's Flowers. Terrell T says, who gets the touchdown? Wan'Dale Robinson or Slayton in a full PPR? Neither. If I'm going to suggest one has it over the other, it'd be Wan'Dale Robinson, considering how much of an extra target volume he has. HD Keep Grinding says, Jameson Williams or Josh Downs? I'll take Josh Downs this week. Mike Evans over 58.5. All right, let's try Mike Evans. Let's see here. What is Evans at? in terms of his numbers. Evans is at 4.5 receptions, 57.5 receiving yards, or 50. And I don't want to deal with any rushing yards, especially if he gets a negative rush because he picks up a fumble or something of that extent. Against Atlanta. Ooh, against AJ Terrell. I wonder how well Mike Evans plays against AJ Terrell. Let me check. How well has he played in the past against AJ Terrell? Last season against Atlanta, 4 catches for 81 in a victory. I suppose this receiving yard total is probably... Actually, no, it's right here. Boom. Okay, we'll take that. Nice little entry. Boom, bang, bop. Let's hope for the best. I mean, if that one wins, I'll be surprised, because there's always something that's going to go wrong, because that's, you know, that's just the nature of the beast. That's why they have the insurance policy. So we're like, oh, I can't even show you guys, can I? So underneath this standard point right here, where it says standard, where it like fills out, underneath it, there's a part where it says insurance, but basically all you have to do is get like 2 out of 3, or 3 out of 4, or 4 out of 5, and you still get your money back, and or you still win. So still good there. I'm gonna go ahead and transition back here, answer the last couple questions to close out today's stream. I do appreciate you guys supporting in all of the opportunities that you guys have, in terms of clicking the like button, in terms of sending in super chats, in terms of course, answering others' questions in the chat. Greatly appreciated. All right, closing out today's stream, we have Soy Car says full PPR, Javonte, JSN, Osborne. I'll take Javonte Williams this week. Then we have Jared. Oh, Terry McLaurin is a great play. Great call, Jacob. Yes, he is a great play. Jared says, start one in the flex, full PPR, Jacoby Myers, Ford, Watson, or London. I'll probably end up playing Ford there. All right, guys. Does Metcalf play this week? I guess we'll know by tomorrow morning for sure. I do appreciate you guys coming through. Andrew's got to hit the road. I got to go take care of a couple things, and then obviously deal with rankings. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do appreciate y'all supporting the channel. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cue the music. And until next time, which will be tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., bright and early, I'll see you guys. Peace.